say?
We're live.
All right, here we are live. What is up, fight fans? Man, I'll tell you what, it's exciting right now, and we got a big fight coming up right here. Ashton Sylve, the Spider, the legend, the one and only, the great middleweight champion, one of the best UFC fighters and MMA fighters to ever step foot inside the octagon or any cage, gets in the ring tonight at 47 years of old to take on the problem child, to take on the undefeated Jake Paul, who's beaten Tyron Woodley twice and knocked him out cold the second time, who beat Ben Askren and knocked him into oblivion, Nate Robinson too. Jake Paul putting it all on the line tonight against Ashton Sylve. And for Silva, you know, really, when you're looking at a guy and his age and his reputation, of course, his name is on the line, his legacy a little bit on the line, but I mean, his bank account's on the line, and the line says pay to the order of Ashton Sylve. Very smart, by the way, and I'm very excited to have you here with me tonight. Jim Greasehopper, call me Grease on MMA Weekly. It seems like it's been so long since we've talked to you. We had a little bit of a technical issue with the Triple G Canelo fight, which, by the way, I was against that fight to begin with. I didn't want to watch that fight to begin with, and I didn't want to go live during that fight to begin with, so I guess it worked out pretty good for me. But that fight didn't end up working out too well for us, and, you know, we've been excited. There's been so much. We had Fight Island, Abu Dhabi again with the UFC, and the big one with Islam Makhachev, and what a performance to get that win over Charles Oliveira and take the belt in that lightweight division. He didn't take it away from Dubronx because Dubronx wasn't the champ, but TJ Dillashaw's shoulder gives, and Aljamain Sterling's still the champ. And then the surprising result was Sugar Sean O'Malley with the win, if you want to call it that, over Piotr Jan. A lot of people not real happy about that judgment and what the judges were able to do there. Yeah, but we're just a couple of minutes. You can see there live inside the arena. Look at the girls, and they made a little bit of a political statement this week out in Glendale, Arizona. Scott Peterson's on site. I'm in studio. Look at that look right there and that feel from Showtime pay-per-view right on site with MMA Weekly. Yeah, Troy, right now is when it's about to start. So the ring walks are going to happen. We can't literally show it to you live, but we're excited because we're going to see Jake Paul and we're going to see Ashton Sylve. And this is Jake Paul's toughest test, right? I mean, all the people who want to rip on Jake Paul, all the people who want to say Jake Paul can't fight. Timothy Bradley, my colleague. I love saying when people do something for ESPN, my colleague at ESPN. I am a colleague at ESPN, so I should say my colleague at ESPN. Timothy Bradley wrote a nice story on ESPN.com about Jake Paul's boxing ability. And it begins and ends with the right hand for Jake. And you know, when a lot of inexperienced fighters, your power punch is going to be that punch that you base everything off, right? So Jake Paul, very good at setting up that right hand, very good at throwing the right hand with no setup. He's got accuracy, he's got speed, he's got knock your block off power with that right. And this is something that Ashton Sylve's really got to watch. I mean, Ashton Sylve, and Chael Sonnen said it this week, right? Ashton Sylve loves the spotlight. He loves fighting. When you see him laughing, when you see him joking, when you see him having a good time, putting on a little bit of a show, when you see that, you know Ashton Sylve's having fun and he's being Ashton Sylve. Well, he is right now, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing from Ashton this week. So I'm pumped to see Ashton Sylve. Look, he just came off the win off of Chavez Jr. So we know he can box. We know he's one of the best strikers in the history of the UFC. Does it prove that Jake Paul is a legit boxer by beating 47-year-old Anderson Silva? Not necessarily. I mean, but Tommy Fury didn't answer the bell. Seem Rahman Jr. didn't answer the bell. And, Jake tried to fight a couple of boxers there. So, it's of course it is what it is. It's a Disney Channel kid. It's a YouTuber. It's a Vine star. It's all those things. It's a social media star turning into an athlete, right? And you give him a lot of credit. He's got a right hand. He's learned to set it up behind the jab. He sits down on the right, which is very impressive. A lot of inexperienced fighters don't do that, sit down the right like he did with Tyron Woodley. He set it up. He feinted downstairs. He sat back and sat down on that right hand. And so, yeah, he's getting better and better. And he's got BJ Flores, who's a hell of a coach. And I don't like to knock people who are chasing their dreams. And I don't like to rip on Jake Paul because he's not Ryan Garcia or Gervonta Davis or Bud Crawford or, Errol Spence Jr. He's not a great fighter on that level. But the great fighters on that level are dropping the ball. The great fighters on that level are not handling their business on the marketing side. The great fighters on that level have not been fighting each other for so long. You got another exhibition Mayweather just did. Pacquiao's doing an exhibition now against an MMA guy over in South Korea. So when you think about all these things that are going on, Ghost Rider 777, yo dude, can you read the comments? There, I just read it. How about that? So, and it's not pre-recorded. EJ break 'em off. Albuquerque. It's not pre-recorded, brother. So there you go, Ghost Rider. So the point is that when you look at Jake Paul and you look at Anderson Silva and you look at the matchup 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Jake Paul now versus Silva in his prime, Paul will get killed, right? Maybe Silva hasn't slowed down that much. Maybe he isn't that much slower than he used to be. Maybe he's got some of that speed left. He's a good boxer, and people say it is the toughest test for Jake Paul. I thought Woodley was a pretty good test for him. And like I said, I like Jake Paul. I've gotten the chance to interview him, gotten the chance to know him a little bit, and I don't know if Scott can hear me on location, and I'm hoping that he can because, we got some stuff we want to play, and Scott got some great B-roll during the week. There's Better, Jake's new sports gambling app. He's trying to disrupt that space as well, too. But we have really good footage of an interview that I did, and unbeknownst to me, I became the uproar of the combat sports world earlier this week, in case you guys were living under a rock somewhere. The interview that I did with Jake Paul last month, we put it up this week on MMA Weekly, and Anderson Silva says in the interview very clearly, I was knocked out twice in sparring. He tried to say he was joking. He tried to say he said knockdown. He tried to say he meant a lot of things. He's not telling the truth when he says all those things. Anderson Silva clearly said he was knocked out twice in training for this fight, but it was a long time ago, and he's cleared, and everything's good. I wanted to wait until the dust settled. I wanted to wait until I made sure the fight was on before I said anything, because I didn't want to jeopardize anything by jumping in and putting my fat mouth in the middle of it. It's already been in there enough, right? So that's something that, I wanted to see what was happening there. So what are you guys thinking of this fight? You think Jake Paul's going to easily go through Anderson Silva? You think Silva's just got nothing left? You think Silva, one more night under those lights, going to dial up that greatness one more time and put an end to this Jake Paul phenomenon? Because the loss would put an end to it. You lose to a 47-year-old former MMA champion in a boxing ring, and you're trying to call yourself a serious boxer and sell yourself as a serious boxer. You're not going to continue to maintain that status. It's just not going to happen for Jake Paul. And that's something that he's got to keep winning in order to be able to do that. And if he's not winning, there's nothing he can do to maintain that hype train, because winning is the hype train. Winning is without a doubt the hype train. The numbers looking good on the stream right now. Really appreciate having you guys here. The main event is going to start here momentarily. Don't know if I got this thing ordered yet or not. Where are we at here? I do not know. Nope, not yet. Not yet. You don't like him, Autumn Red? What a clown that guy Jake is. Thomas Kelp, I don't think people give Jake enough credit. He's doing his thing, putting in the work. I like Anderson also, but I hope Jake knocks him out. If Silva connect a punch, it's over. I mean, what about just, let's not rate Jake Paul as a serious fighter for a minute. How about we just rate Jake Paul as an entertainer? How about we just give Jake Paul the credit that Jake Paul deserves for getting in there against the people he's fighting? Logan Paul, same thing. To be able to talk his way into a fight with Floyd Mayweather, to be able to talk his way into the WWE and a match with Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. I mean, these Paul brothers are unbelievable what they're able to do. And Scott, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm waiting on you to see what our count is with that fight. But as of right now, I'm not seeing what's happening and what is going on with the fight. I know they're in the walkouts, and Silva's so much more experienced than
we're still waiting. We're still waiting for the fight.
So there's nothing going on, Scott, at all?
Just looks like some rappers doing selfies with fans in front of me. Tito Ortiz walked by here not long ago. Paulo Costa walked by here earlier this evening. I don't think he had a secret juice on him. Yeah, he's here. Sean O'Malley's here. He got him and Nate Diaz got the biggest roar from the crowd. Chris Cyborg was just doing an interview over by us. Yeah, Sean O'Malley and Nate Diaz seem to be fan favorites.
O'Malley's going to be a fan favorite for a long time, but that was a crazy result. Hey, Scott, Jake Paul was a little angry this week, right? I mean, he's
yeah, look at him there.
He was a little extra this week in terms of
a little extra spicy. Yeah, look at him here. He has a moment there with the mic.
I know exactly what he's standing there saying. I'm going to F him up.
So, what did you think about George St. Pierre coming and doing the face-offs, getting in between the guys? That was right there. We talked with George after the weigh-ins yesterday, and he made it clear that he's made a peace with not fighting anymore, and that we won't see him in there fighting. But he did leave the door open to competing, but just not in MMA.
Of course he did. He's going to get one of these exhibitions and get himself a few more million. I just need that commentary job, Scott. Who do we know? Maybe we should do it. We should start this and have the MMA Weekly. Every week we'll have our own little fight tournament, and I'll commentate it.
Call them bathroom fights.
We need this cash. Let's throw some of this cash off.
I hope the background music's not coming through on my mic. Is it loud?
A little bit. So I don't know. It sounds okay. It sounds good. Ariel Helwani trying to keep the order in the middle of the circus. Also, I didn't order the fight yet, Scott, so this is not happening yet, right?
Oh, no, it hasn't happened yet. Nope. Everybody's still waiting. Yeah, just the crowd is standing in anticipation.
A lot of people think Anderson Silva's being paid to take a dive. You're a legendary champion. I like it how people, I mean, I'm being facetious, people just automatically assume legendary champion would take a dive. Like, your whole entire career wasn't based on authenticity and integrity and competing at the highest level and beating almost everyone in front of you. Like, all of a sudden, on your way out the door, you're just going to take this big bribe and just throw a fight. I mean, everybody just seems to go right to that. It makes no sense to me. I don't believe Anderson Silva would ever throw a fight, this fight or any fight. I refuse to believe it. It makes no sense to me. And I don't understand people. I do not understand people who would say that. I mean, if you're in there right now, do you think Anderson Silva's being paid to throw this fight? If Anderson loses tonight, are you going to be one of those people, the first people saying, hey, he took a dive. He was paid to lose this fight. What do you guys say? Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I don't know if that's 1 2 1 2. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. Is that a little better, guys? I don't want to go too hot in there. Is that a little better? Yeah, there we go. You guys are hearing me a little bit better now? How about that? Can you hear me better now? 1 2 1 2. That should be a lot better, right? Guys, let me know. Yeah, okay. See, thank you, Colin.
You're great.
Colin Lego. Got it. We got the mic back up. We're doing okay. Caleb Russell. Jake is a fucking YouTuber. Yes, he is. Not a fighter, but He's turning himself into a fighter, and he's utilizing the resources that he has and the opportunities that he's created for himself to do more. So I'm asking you guys, how the hell is that so bad? How is it so wrong? We have this thing about our sports where no one can come in and take away from the integrity of our amazing sports. Well, let me ask you this, guys. All you boxing police out there, and of course I'm tongue in cheek a little bit here, but I mean it's true. How many of you are prepared to say that boxing's on the up and up anyway? How many of you are prepared to say that Jake Paul came in to a clean sport, one that's clean as a whistle, or everything's done above board and nothing's ever done wrong and no wool's ever pulled over the fans' eyes? The fighters are never taken advantage of, and the best fighters always fight each other. Where is that sport? It does not exist. There is no perfect sport. That's my point. And by the way, while I'm on the subject, if Tom Brady keeps throwing tablets and whining and pouting and crying about his Giselle divorce for 3 hours every Sunday, I'm not watching the NFL anymore either. It's already bad enough you can't hit the quarterback. Now we got to watch him whine about his divorce for 3 hours. Anyway, I digress. But Jake Paul did not come into a clean as a whistle boxing. Jake Paul did not come into a boxing where the best fighters fight each other, did not come into the sport of boxing where the squeaky clean image and reputation had been upheld over the years, over the decades. No, it had not been the case. Boxing is a cesspool. Boxing is a dump. Boxing is everything a sport should not be for the most part. That's the boxing that Jake Paul came into. That's the sport that Jake Paul saw an opening in and said, hey, I can use my opportunities and I can use my fame and I can come in and I can be the most famous boxer in the world without being a boxer. And guess what? He pretty much did. He pretty much did, right? So that's not an indictment of Jake Paul. That's not an indictment of Jake Paul. That's not something to question Jake Paul's integrity and character over. How can you just walk in and do that? No. How can a sport just let someone like that walk in and become so big and put on such big fights and keep handing over your money? Hand over, hey, there you go, Jake. There you go, 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 right? Okay. That's what he's doing. It's the American way. It's capitalism. It's opportunity, intelligence. He created it for himself. Can't hate on him. The sport left an opening for someone to come in and do that. Dana White, who loves boxing as much as anyone I've ever known, didn't come in and try to save boxing. Why do you think that is? He saw an alternative way to do something in combat sports as a boxing guy where he thought he could do something better, and he did. He mopped the floor with boxing. And the Eddie Hearns, the Al Haymans, and all those guys, man. All of them. And of course, Don King, Bob Arum. These guys don't care. That's the rub. That's the rub in boxing. They don't care. They care that they make their money. They care that you buy their pay-per-views. They don't care that the best fighters fight each other. They don't care that Jake Paul can come in and take all this money and all this clout and all this fame and all this fortune out of their sport because they're getting theirs. And that's all they care about. They don't care about the integrity of the game. They don't care about the sport. Boxing people don't, for the most part, care about boxing. And that's a big problem with the sport. So before you guys keep getting on Jake Paul's case over and over again, and he's this and he's that, and he's ruining the sport, Jake Paul's not ruining anything. Jake Paul's taking advantage of a sport that they have ruined themselves. And he's taking advantage of an opportunity to get in there and be paid in a sport like that and do something that very few people would ever have the opportunity and the chance to do in their lifetime. And this dude's killing it, and people just hate. And they hate, and they hate, and they hate. Oh, he's just this, and he's a punk, and he's this, and he's that. Well, I interviewed him, and I met him, and he's great. Anderson Silva's great, too. I almost killed the whole fight this week. Scott was ready. What did you do? I didn't do anything. He said he was knocked out twice in sparring. He said it. Anderson Silva should know not to say that in an interview. It shouldn't be anything that I should know to telepathically tell him without telling him, just through my eyes, Anderson, watch me. Don't say that now. Don't say that. Right? I mean, come on, right? No. Why on God's green earth would it even matter? Everyone wants to know. That's what everyone was calling me for this week. Hey, why does it even matter if he got knocked out twice? Concussion protocol, man. The two dirtiest words in sports right now. Concussion protocol. Look at Glendale, Arizona. Look at all those people paying their hard-earned money to see Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. Le'Veon Bell was in there tonight against Uriah Hall. How did old Le'Veon do against Uriah Hall? I got to see how this happened right here because Le'Veon Bell's a crazy bastard anyway. And I want to say this, I say it in a good way and a bad way because Le'Veon Bell, and I believe it was Drew Rosenhaus, his agent at the time, Steelers were just working him and killing him and, of course, just killing him, right? And so anyway, long story short, Le'Veon Bell has $100 million contract that he says no to because he wants 140 or whatever. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but he had a huge contract that he said no to because he wanted more. Didn't get it. Ended up sitting out. Got a big contract the next year. Kept getting hurt out of the league now, and ended up costing himself about $80 million, right? And so that's something that he's not going to make back up in boxing. But he did take on Uriah Hall, former UFC, and I'd call Uriah Hall a UFC star. He was an Ultimate Fighter finalist, right? Where are we at? So where is I'm looking for I am looking for the results of the fight.
Yeah, the broadcast team is still up there with the lights on them, so it seems like they're not in a hurry to get this started. They're still up there doing the pre-fight. But I'll let you know as soon as the lights go out.
People are, this one guy thinks I'm too aggressive. Why is this guy so aggressive? I'm down. I don't think I'm aggressive. But Uriah Hall did beat Le'Veon Bell by unanimous decision, so Le'Veon Bell's not going to make that money in the boxing ring either. He did knock out Adrian Peterson recently, although, if you're an athlete with a name now and you can get in the ring and fight Jake Paul and make a couple million, are you not going to do it? Why would you not do it? Why? So what do we have here? We lost 7th round TKO. Alexandro Santiago defeated Antonio Nieves, and then Ashton Sylve, this kid, man, 1st round knockout. That's a rising star. Let's see him. And Chris Avila with the win as well. And I mentioned Uriah Hall. So, yeah, you guys, it's a Saturday night. There's not a whole hell of a lot going on. There is a Lomachenko fight, by the way. Speaking of actual boxing that nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about it. Which is interesting, right? Nobody is talking about this fight. Nobody. Where are we at here? Dun, 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 dun. Where's the Loma fight? It's crazy because no one's even talking about Lomachenko, and he's a year ago everyone's saying he's the biggest pound for pound star. He's taking on Jermaine Ortiz. Ortiz not really that great. Lomachenko, look, he's one of the best fighters in the world. Loma in the middle rounds, like 4, 5, 6, is pretty much the play here. But Lomachenko and Jermaine Ortiz. Where is that fight anyway? Lomachenko. Everyone's focused on Jake Paul. Lomachenko, Ortiz. Where are we at? All right, Lomachenko versus Ortiz. Autumn Red. It's all staged, man. More like WWE than real fighting. The commentators didn't know what moose knuckles are. That was really funny that Jake Paul slid that in there, man. That was awesome. And then you see how he did it with the podcast the day before, how he would just slide those phrases in there. Look, most people are saying there's no way Jake could beat Anderson Silva. No way in hell. And I disagree with that. For sure, right now, it's a different ballgame. Silva's 47. Let's not forget, Anderson Silva was 1-7 in his last 8 UFC fights, 1-7. So,
yeah, it was interesting yesterday when George St. Pierre, had praises for Jake Paul when he was saying that the thing that he has is he has this power. And it was interesting to hear GSP, say that he has this great knockout power, and that the way he loops the punch comes from outside of the angle of view of the fighter, so they don't see it coming, and all the power gets concentrated, I guess, on the moose knuckle in his fist. So but that was interesting. He claims to say, yeah, he can take out Anderson Silva.
I don't know. I mean, and he said he's going to give him a kickboxing match if he loses, which would be interesting, right? Anderson Silva and Jake Paul in kickboxing.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be good for either one. Not at this time late in the stage of the game for Anderson Silva. He's already had a broken leg from it, so. But men don't go through menopause, so I guess he doesn't have the osteoporosis.
Well, you know what a moose knuckle really is, Scott, right? This is the brilliance of Jake Paul. Not everybody saying moose knuckle, but you know what a moose knuckle really is?
What is the new moose knuckle really is?
It's the male version of camel toe.
Oh. Man.
And he was on his podcast with his girlfriend, like before the first press conference, saying, I'm going to drop in the word moose knuckle in the press conference. And yeah, they gave him words to say, and he put it in there. And so then he kind of ran with it, calling it his moose knuckle. But a moose knuckle is like, you know, little pants that are too tight with a little extra bulge, which Jake apparently has a lot of, so it kind of fits, right?
Good for Jake. He'll have a career after this, after all. I guess everybody's doing OnlyFans anyway, so for fans only.
Who's doing OnlyFans?
Well, he'll have a career after boxing with his moose knuckle.
MooseKnuckle.com.
It'll be fansonly/mooseknuckle.com.
But you know, Scott, this is an interesting topic. Well, I have you on. You've been doing this 20 years. You make your living based on what plays and views and sponsors and things like that. So you always have to have your finger on the
I make
pulse
my
of it.
living off of the best sport in the world, MMA.
The best sport in the world.
But we like to dip our toe. We like to dip our toe into boxing every once in a while.
It's not bad. It's not bad. And we got Anderson still there doing it with us. But Scott, this whole
the crowd is getting crazy. I think something's happening.
Something's happening to Jake
Everybody's
Paul.
starting to stand up. Oh, they're showing Jake Paul in the backstage in his locker room.
Okay. So
But what were you saying? We were talking about me?
No, I was going to ask about the Jake Paul hype train, and you know the videos didn't do as well this week as they've done in the past for a Jake Paul fight, and you know Anderson is 47. I mean, eventually, does the novelty wear off? And there's another big
Ooh, an even bigger roar for Anderson Silva when they show him in the background in his locker room. He even got a bigger push from the crowd. But yeah, it's been kind of a slow lead up, which it was kind of like that with the Woodley fight until after the fight, and that's when a lot of the steam was after the fight. So that's how sometimes some of these things work. But yeah, it's been kind of a slow burn. Now it looks like there's Nate Diaz. I'm gonna go film this.
What's he doing? There goes Scott. Scott is chasing down Nate Diaz. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Where are we at? This billing period. I got to figure out how to watch the video without being on Wi-Fi and jamming up my connection here. Maybe I'll try it on Wi-Fi. I don't think I'll be all that bad. What do you guys think? And we got the Wi-Fi on it. So Jake got you guys on the Moose Knuckles too. Tell the truth. Did he get you on the Moose Knuckle thing? Did Jake get you? You think Jake Paul's on steroids? Everyone's like, why does everyone hate Jake? Why do you hate Jake? Remove your old ass face. Thank you. Sadiq. Sadiq. How about that? Remove your old ass face. A retired fighter versus a wannabe you. I mean, you're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh my God, this guy. To come into a place and just do this. You are gone, brother. I like having that power. Beat, gone, see ya. I mean, you're going to come in here on a Saturday night, waste your time and mine and everybody else's with dumbass comments and things that are just stupid to say, then you have no place in this world. And I mean this world, right here with us right now. I'm not talking about this world. You have a place out there somewhere with someone, just ain't gonna be in here. You know what I'm saying? Silva's old ass is gonna get dusted. Silva champion. They hate Jake because he does what he says he's gonna do. Thank you. Nobody really does. A lot of people don't, really, when you think about it. Whoop. Uh-oh. Oh, that's right. It's freaking Moro. I don't like Moro. Not a fan of Moro. Ronaldo. When he calls fights, I know like you listen. No like you listen to the Moro, but it is what it is. The moral of the story is... Oh, it's Moro and Ariel. Ah! Anderson has been here before many times. I just heard Ariel Hawani say Anderson has been here before many times. Been where, Ariel? Arizona? Been where? In a fight with a YouTuber? Been where? In a boxing match? Been where? Been where? Everyone trying to sell this thing like it's a huge prize fight, man. And look, you got to love Jake Paul again. But it's a spectacle. It's an exhibition. The more you try to sell it as a serious sporting event, the more you start to lose me. They hate Jake Paul because he's not scared. Nate Diaz is in the audience. I mean, look, when will this... I was starting to ask this question to Scott. When will the gravy train end for the Jake Paul fights? Logan Paul is in WWE. Logan Paul got meetings right away with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. You don't just walk in to WWE and get meetings with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
They're doing the intro right now, so it's going to get started.
But we can't play it live, can we? No, we can't. 8 rounds at cruiserweight. And that's where Anderson Silva wanted to fight. Interesting. Uh-oh, Jimmy Lennon Jr. It's a serious fight. It's a serious fight. Hey, when you're paying Jake Paul $10 million a fight, the guy's a genius, man. Jake will crush him. How? Is he going to set up that right hand? Because that Jake's weapon right there is the right hand. Set up the right hand, and then, you know, whoever bet on Silva, you're a clown. Jake gets me... Oh, I thought it said Jake gets me laid. It said something else that you have to be before you get laid, which I'm not going to read. So, you're pretty interesting. Who do you think will win? Chase? Oh, man. You know, I really want to say Anderson Silva. I think he's a tremendous boxer. Jake can say all he wants about how he has to be on his best and be perfect and all these things tonight. And maybe a little bit of that's true. I know Anderson Silva can get it done still. He did against Chavez Jr. I think Chavez Jr. is a bit of a shot fighter, though. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm not really feeling... this is tough, guys. This is tough because I love Anderson Silva, man. I do. I love Anderson, and I want to always see him do well. Always want to see Anderson Silva do well. He's one of my favorites in this sport. I felt bad earlier this week. I reached out to him. I didn't want to say much. My interview caused a lot of turmoil. It wasn't anything I did or anything I said. It's the timing of it. Something he said. Oh, they just showed Jake starching Woodley again. I mean, be honest. In that second Woodley fight, did anybody here? I didn't, first of all. Any of you expect to see Tyron Woodley get laid out like that? I mean, that was like Friday with Ice Cube and Debo. You got knocked up out. He got decleated, man. I just did some boxing last week for Triller Fight Club. I did, 15 interviews during the telecast. That was fun working with Sean Wheelock and Amir Tyson, Mike Tyson's son, in KC last week. And, you know, just being around boxing and, you know, there's a lot to it. I love the UFC. I love the UFC, guys. Don't get me wrong. And you know I love the UFC. I love the UFC.
Anderson is making his walkout right now.
I got Jimmy Lennon Jr. I'm watching this, Scott. What a nice spectacle this is. Scott Peterson on site in Glendale, Arizona. Here comes the Spider. Is he wearing Versace? Versace? No, that's not. It's an Anderson Silva custom.
Actual gold.
That's his logo. Oh, thank God I don't have to listen to Moro.
Anderson Silva enters the ring.
English. There we go. Boom. Oh, thank God, Scott. Morrow, mute Morrow. There we go. Mute you, Morrow. Nice to see you.
By the way, I saw good old Mauro Ranallo backstage and touched base with him.
Are you buddies with Morrow?
Yeah, I was there for his first broadcast at Pride when he took Stephen Quadros' position with Boss Rutan.
I wish you would have left him there.
I was there in the offices at Pride in Japan hanging out with him. I better turn off.
Here comes Jake Paul. Jake Paul. So listen to this, right, guys? For anybody who's hating on Jake Paul right now, I mean, a kid from Cleveland, Ohio is on the Disney Channel, a superstar on social media. It is not easy to become an influencer on social media, let alone a superstar, let alone a global phenomenon. It is not easy to fight in a boxing ring. It's not easy to walk in there and compete with another man. Timothy Bradley's right in his write-up on ESPN. Look, it is not an easy thing to do, and anyone who does it deserves respect. Anyone who finds ring girls this hot deserves an incredible amount of respect. Jake Paul's on the way out to the ring. He's making $10 million on Showtime. They built this whole series around him. They're bringing in retired MMA champions to fight him. People are paying hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per ticket to see him fight. People are paying over $50, almost $60, more than that, for this pay-per-view tonight to see him fight. He's walking out to the ring. He's walking through a hallway with his nickname on it. He's walking through a hallway with his own clothes, with his own name, with his own logo, into an arena that is full of the logos of the companies he owns, while getting paid $10 million to go fight an MMA legend. I ask you, is this not Jake Paul's world? Are we all not taking up space in Jake Paul's world? I got to be honest. There's a big part of me that thinks we are. And after I met him, after I interviewed him, and I could see the determination in his eyes, this is a real thing for him. He is to the minute with his schedule. He did every interview. He did every medical requirement. He does everything that he needs to do and is supposed to do to promote these fights, to book these fights, to make sure the payment goes through on all these fights. But you guys are calling him a clown. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's in the ring right now. Anderson's in his corner. Jake Paul is in the ring. This is going to happen. This is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty good. What are you guys thinking right now? Who you picking? Who'd you bet? Who'd you throw the money down on? This was a weird fight in terms of sponsors, in terms of the cash flow. A lot of your usual suspects not jumping in on that. Tail the tapes up right now. The biggest one is 22 years. 47 years old to 25. Silva's got a 2-inch height advantage, a 4-inch reach advantage. 186 pounds. Jake weighed in a half-pound heavier. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the ref can stop the fight. The fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, and the fight is official after round 4. These are very serious commissions that people are working. The Arizona, I've worked with them for years, the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission. I want to see if they never show Jimmy Lennon Jr. from the back. Like, I want to see the dude that's standing there propping him up. Right? And I like him. I hung out with him again in Vegas in, what is it, the Thurman Barrios fight? Was it February? Yeah. PBC, Mandalay Bay. Down in the Four Seasons bar, Jimmy Lennon Jr. Nice guy. Very cool dude. But, I mean, they need some new blood. You know what I'm saying, man? They need new blood. New blood boxing. Need new blood. Right? A lot of people want to see Jake Paul's blood tonight, but I don't know, man. This is a tough one. As far as giving you analysis, I mean, Anderson Silva, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to stand. It's very tough. It's very tough right now when I think about this, because you want to see Anderson do well. And when people are like, Anderson's been here before, they mean the big fight feel. Like Jake Paul hasn't. Nate Robinson was on the Mike Tyson-Roy Jones card with 1.9 million people watching on MMA Weekly we had. Imagine how many people were watching Jake Paul that night. Wes Melton, my dude. I like Wes. He's got the main event, the ref, the Arizona. I like Wes Melton. Worked with him for years. Yeah, this fight is legit. The Arizona Commission's not being bought. There's no reason for anybody to want to throw this fight. This Jake Paul, people say, oh, Jake Paul. No, he wants to test himself on the biggest stage. He wants to try to play for the Cleveland Browns next, you guys. He thinks he can play for the, I mean, right now, anybody could probably play for the Cleveland Browns before Deshaun Watson comes back. Maybe Jake can teach Deshaun Watson how to, oh, never mind. But he wants to play for the Browns after this. So this is a kid who's legitimately trying to see how good he really is. Now, he's going to make a few. I mean, Jake Paul's never going to need money. This just in. Newsflash. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they will never, ever need money. Okay? I mean, I think the odds are pretty good. They're going to have hundreds of millions for the rest of their lives. This is about competition. This is about a sickness that lives and grows and festers inside of a certain personality type of human. How far can I push? Who else can I beat? Where can I take this thing that no one said I can do? Proving people wrong. When I interviewed Jake, that's what he said. I said, why do you like to come in and disrupt things and do things, quote unquote, better in your terms? And he said, why should we just accept things the way they are, man? We're just a bunch of people running around being told what to do, told what to say. And he said, F that. He said, I want to turn everything upside down on its ear and make things the way that they should be, the way that I feel they should be. As they interview Jake Paul now, 5-0 with 4 knockouts. He's got BJ Flores. He brought in big-time sparring partners. He's putting everything he has into this boxing thing. The amount of money Jake Paul is spending on his camps is staggering. Look, and if you're looking for, something that's going to happen in this fight, and Jake Paul's living it up, and people, he's having fun, but there's nerves there, man. There's nerves. There is, something to that. And it's a tough one right now. When you look at Silva beating Chavez, there's Jake Paul's whole family. They look nervous. His girlfriend is that hot, by the way. Not to be disrespectful. She was waiting outside the door when I was about to do my interview. I was waiting out there with her. I said hello to her. Very nice girl, very sweet. I like Jake Paul. I like his brother Logan a lot. His FaceTime to my daughter, Logan Paul, did one time when I was in Vegas with Cejudo and Paulo Costa and those guys, Captain Eric, and came across Logan Paul, and I'm like, Jaden, do you know this guy? And next thing you know, my daughter's FaceTiming Logan Paul. I mean, they're good people, man. Is Anderson Silva the Anderson Silva of old? No. Is he gonna blow out? Is he gonna get his leg broken again? No. So you're thinking it's gonna be okay. Silva passes the eye test still. He still looks like an incredible athlete. It's a very tough fight to pick. It's because you don't know which Silva you're getting, right? You don't know which Silva you're getting. Haven't been privy to that footage. Haven't seen him too much in training. It was nice to get out there and be around Anderson again. A big portion of my career spent doing interviews with him, especially in the beginning. Him and Georges St. Pierre and guys like that. And you never get those guys back. You never get them back. And it's very exciting once they're gone to see the lives they're living now. But Anderson's still going. He still enjoys it. He still has fun. The night the idol becomes the adversary. And that picture they had when they were little. Jake Paul likes to, kind of really stick that jab out there far. He's not going to want to let Silva get in tight with those combos. You got, obviously, Silva, the southpaw stance. Jake Paul's going to have to stay on the outside of that front leg of Anderson Silva if he wants to set up the right cross. Silva's so smart, though, in terms of hand-to-hand combat. Jake is really going to have to use his ring IQ tonight. He's really going to have to try to work that jab through. He's going to try to hit the body, knock that head down. But Silva with that stance and, the defense is outstanding from Anderson Silva. It's not fake, guys. I can promise you. I have friends who are sending me videos from the fight right now in Glendale. It's in a building I've worked in 1,000 times. I'd be there right now if I wasn't doing this live on MMA Weekly. There's not, you know what I'm saying? Like this would be, I'd be out there right now. So it's interesting. I mean, people think the Woodley fight was thrown, was fixed, all these things. It wouldn't make any sense. And the commissions are run by the government of that state. Like run by the government, man. Like that's not, you know what I mean? It's not anything that's going to happen easily. If anything like that ever happened, like if the mob ever did this and the mob ever did that, who's throwing a fight for Jake Paul to make more money? The only way a fight like this could be fixed, the only way a fight like this would be fixed, it would never happen on the commission level, the official level. It would never happen with anything to do with that. It would be if one of the fighters were paid to take a dive. Is Anderson Silva paid? And then you have to assume that it'd be that good to be able to take a dive within the course of a fight, to make it look legit, to make it look real. Yeah, you just, come on. A commercial for Jake Paul. Okay. What would you have me talk about? The fact that Jake Paul can't get near Anderson Silva. He's tried to hit the body 1,000 times and not getting anywhere close. Not much action. First of 8 rounds. Jake Paul rising up through the ranks, taking on higher level, you would think, competition. Silva throws a big right. Jake Paul licking his boxing gloves like, let's go. Kind of that feel-out process. Silva might be a little bit harder to hit than Jake thought he was. Not really sure. Anderson hasn't thrown much. He wants to get the timing down of Jake Paul. One thing I'll say about this kid, man, he does not shrink from the moment. Say what you want about Jake Paul, he does not shrink from these moments. Fighting his idol tonight. Doesn't shrink from it. Wants to test himself on the ultimate level. Round 1 in the books. Hiccups all of a sudden. And I'm rooting for boxing overall. I'm involved with boxing. I'm doing play-by-play. I'm doing corners. I'm doing interviews for Triller Fight Club. I got a whole bunch of boxing stuff I'm working on. I love doing my MMA stuff here and on ESPN, and I'm never going to stop that stuff. And I love the UFC. But I also really enjoy boxing and legit boxing. I saw some great boxing last week. They're showing some of the highlights now. I mean, Paul just missing wildly with jabs that are nowhere near. And you're trying to hit Silva from distance. He's timing you out. And Anderson with a nice counter hook to the side of Jake Paul's temple. And then that's when Jake kind of licked the gloves like this. That's when you know he got him. Anderson got him with a nice counter left. I received calls from friends, and I'm not going to tell you who they are this week. Really high connected friends in the MMA world, and they're friends of Anderson Silva's, and some of them were not happy about that interview being put out when it was, and they wanted me to change the YouTube description. People got a little up in arms, man, this week. So sorry. We didn't do it on purpose. We were looking for a little more steam off the interview, and we ended up getting it. So we did our job. And Jake, to his credit, never flinched, never cared. Anderson looking to back him up into the corner. All it's going to take is one shot, and when will the hype train end? Jake Paul loses one fight, is it over? Or can he just go through fighting guys like this KSI dude? I mean, he's still keeping stoking the Andrew Tate fires, as is Logan Paul. I mean, these guys know how to keep themselves relevant on social media. It's about hashtagging. It's about sharing. It's about engagement. How do you get people talking about you? How do you get people watching you? How do you get people listening to you? That's what the Paul brothers. Anderson Silva putting on a little bit more pressure this round. Anderson Silva putting a little more pressure, but a little frustrated, clapping his gloves together like this. Jake Paul really staying at a distance from Anderson. One thing I noticed in the Woodley fight is Paul got a little bit closer, wanted to fight Woodley more in a phone booth, which is interesting because Woodley, is known for the clinch. And Jake Paul really does use the clinch to his advantage. He's strong, holding people. You can really wear other fighters down when you're physically strong. He's a wrestler, and you're pulling on him all night in the clinch. Mike Tyson used to be great at that. Anderson Silva walking forward. Oh, a big counter right misses by Jake. Round 2 of 8. Anderson Silva starting with that showboating again where he loves to put his hands down. Chris Weidman knows that all too well. My boy Chris, the All-American. And I love Anderson Silva, by the way, but he did pay for that showboating with the left hook heard around the world in 2013, July, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I was there that night, very close to that action. Some of these nights, oh, man, incredible. Jake is, I wouldn't say losing. Anderson Silva definitely commandeering the ring, though. He's taking control of the center of the ring and walking Jake down. Toward the ropes, toward the corners. Nobody really landing much. Silva's boxing like a UFC champion, and Paul's boxing like a YouTuber, I guess you would say right now. Really, no one's winning. Interesting. Ain't no way Jake losing to a 40-year-old man. I think Jake is going to get his ass beat. Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning? I mean, as far as ring control and generalship, Silva. Pressure, Silva. Throwing more punches. Although, you know what? Jake Paul from the outside. 3 seconds left in the round. Oh, that's it. 2 rounds in the books. Anderson Silva, a little frustrated, just gave Jake a shove walking away. Gave him a shove. Oh, come on. That kind of language, guys. For real, you're going to come in here and talk like that? You got to go. See ya. Put user in time out. Yeah, you're going to use words like that. You're out. And if you have to ask what words they are, then you pretty much could tell that. But Silva with that southpaw stance, Jake staying at range, Anderson really not able to connect much. And Jake had lined up a perfect right earlier in that round, and Silva just able last second. He's been in so many wars, and he's been in so many fights where he's had to just in tight and use that head movement. And but Jake Paul's hoping one of those rights will get there. I mean, if anything, Jake Paul's looking a little ordinary tonight. A little ordinary. He's looked really good at times against Woodley and some of his other fights. And, Jake was so excited for this fight and seeing him and being around him, just sometimes that little adrenaline dump, sometimes you're a little too amped up and you got to really dial it down. You really got to dial it down. Round 3, Jake comes out aggressively to take the center of that ring, see if he can keep it. I'm sure that's something his corner said. Don't just give him control of the ring. It matters. I can't believe they still have Al Bernstein calling this. It's pretty funny. My lasting impression of Al Bernstein will be Snoop Dogg blowing smoke in his face and everyone on that whole dais getting high and embarrassing the crap out of themselves and the sport. Except Sean Wheelock, by the way, my boy, who was there calling that fight. Everybody else let it rip that night. Not saying I wouldn't have wanted to being there with Snoop or what I would have done, but man, oh man. Yeesh. They really made Bernstein look, I don't know, I wasn't happy with him. So Silva's experience is shining through. You're right, Aaron Rush. I mean, if you guys are wasting your time tonight just to come in here and write dumb shit, we love to have you just as much. I mean, your number counts too. Silva really taking control of the ring, though. That's one thing. Jake Paul is not being allowed to conduct business the way he wants to dictate anything. It's all Silva. Silva with a counter left, it grazed him. But it is all Anderson Silva. And if Anderson can start to throw more volume, and he's throwing volume like a younger fighter. But you got to watch that counter right from Jake Paul. He's barely missed with a couple of these, and they will turn Silva's lights out. They're every bit as hard as the Weidman punch, if not harder. They're every bit as hard as some of the other punches Silva's eaten in his MMA career. Jake's starting to be a little more aggressive, but he is missing wildly with a lot of his shots. A lot of his shots. Did I get bullied in school? No. Oh, someone else. Did you get? Geoduck, did you? Let's go, Jake Paul. Someone just keeps typing gay over and over and over again. Gay, 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 gay. It's nice for the vocab that you had growing up. And do I shave my balls? The carpet match the drapes. Come on, you had to watch the Manscaped commercial I did. You would know. Looks like a duck with a goatee. It's not a goatee. It's a beard. Look like a duck. I'm going to read the funny ones too, even if they, are at my expense. Silva on his bike, man. He's just stalking and chasing Jake Paul all over God's green earth. Really just the ring that they're in. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, Jake Paul's MVP logo, his Better logo, the Showtime logo, all Jake Paul's partners are all over this ring. This kid's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. I mean, for real. How many of you are just going to type gay? It's interesting. I mean, I guess there's nothing else to do on a Saturday night. That's why you're enjoying yourself here. I like the trunks, though. Jake in the white and black, Anderson in the black and gold. Anderson landing a couple of shots. They're getting in tight. I wouldn't see why Jake Paul, maybe because Silva's an MMA fighter and he's maybe a little bit stronger. I don't know. Like, Jake Paul's not utilizing any of that strength in tight to tie him up and use some of that. And the numbers are going really high right now. We like it. We like it. Everyone. You guys, you have to come stronger than the words you're typing right now. I mean, this is literally an embarrassment. You have to do something. We're headed to round 4. Is that right, Scott? Or are we going to round 5? I can't hear myself. I can't hear you. But I do look good. I like that lighting effect. Look at that. Scott Peterson making me look like $1 million. Jake landed a nice right counter. He likes to duck down and throw that hard right hand. So, I mean, in an MMA fight, obviously, you'd be prime for a takedown or a knee or something down low there, level change, even like some underhooks and just throw them against the cage and have your way with them. But it's not. It's boxing. You're going to duck down and be open for an uppercut. That's pretty much it. Touching gloves, I mean, it just doesn't, it doesn't seem to me that either guy has really done anything in this fight. And that's the case, by the way, when I watch a lot of boxing. Boxing is really hard for me to see and score. I'm watching it on a little phone. It's not an easy thing to do. Only thrown 10 shots so far. Interesting. Not a lot of jabs. Ashton Sylve is making it very tough on Jake Paul, pressuring him, stalking him, chasing him around the ring all night, but came out to the center line in the beginning and said, "This is my ring. This is my ring." Alexander Volkanovski. What do you guys think about Volk, man? And Islam? Pound for pound and the lightweight on the... Is Islam that good? Am I jerking off? I keep bouncing. No. Not yet, anyway. I don't think I have to tonight. My girl's going out of town in the morning, so I think I'm good in that department. It's going to be a good night, guys. As soon as this fight's over, be up in Scottsdale, having a little glass of wine, enjoying a night, listening to music. Got a beautiful lady waiting for me. Indeed. Going to be a good night. So round 4 of 8, a minute and a half left. I mean, you're still seeing Ashton Sylve stalking Jake Paul. It's ring generalship. If this fight were to end right now, it'd be Silva, in my mind, by decision. Silva has Paul against the ropes. Good turtling and clenching by Jake. Am I really believing this nonsense? Well, Steve, I wouldn't say it's nonsense. It's a competition. It's a fight. I don't look at it as a big-time boxing match. I don't look at it as a championship fight. I look at it as an MMA legend and a social media superstar with a ton of people who want to watch them fight, spending a lot of money to watch them fight. And I think it's an entertaining boxing match. I think people are getting what they paid for. The one thing I'm noticing now, though, because of Silva's reach, though, and because of his acumen and how good he is with the combos and the movement, Jake Paul is staying so far out that he's having a hard time reaching him with the jab. It's very hard for Jake Paul to hit anything right now. Ashton Sylve fighting a beautiful fight, putting on a little bit of a clinic right now.
Oh, did you see that 8-rounder? Did you see that, Jim? Silva threw a couple shots after the round, after the bell was.
No, I think I'm a little behind, Scott. I don't know. Yeah, I still have 10 seconds left in the round. 3, 2, 1. Silva. Oh, an uppercut. Yeah, he's setting up that uppercut. Logan Paul clapping for Jake. The whole Paul family looking a little bit nervous. I like how Logan Paul's that nervous and that competitive and just, yeah, I like that. I mean, they're infectious. They make you like him, and Jake's girlfriend's so hot. Good Lord. Oh, wow. I
think Silva has it. I think Silva has it at this point.
So far, so Silva. Yep, you're right, Scott. And I think I'm about 10 seconds behind. If the round started yet, I'm behind. There's a lag on the stream from Showtime. But Jake Paul's got to find a way to start landing that jab. There hasn't been an opportunity really for him to land too many shots. And when he does get close, he landed a big right in that round. Silva's got a little blood coming out of the nose. I think it'll be all right. She's not hot. You're insane. You are insane. She's beyond. Talking about Jake Paul's girl. And he wants people to say his girl's hot. I want people to say my girl's hot. I have a couple of them right now. I got like 3 of them going. They're all hot. We have to have fun in our lives, right? You only live once. So we are in round 5. Just got started. Anderson Silva is 3-1 with 2 knockouts in boxing. Had that big win against Chavez Jr. I'm just waiting. Here's what I'm waiting for. Anderson's been stalking him the whole night. Jake comes off the ropes with a jab or a right counter, right? And I would say this. When Jake Paul comes off the ropes with that right counter, as Anderson's coming in, and Anderson's done this in MMA multiple times, you can catch him. But so far, through 4 rounds, Showtime has Paul up 3-1, which I don't really see. But what I can see is Silva's hands down as he comes in to throw combos on the ropes with Paul, and Paul just decking him with a right counter. But Silva's controlling the ring. He's got Jake Paul backed up throughout this fight. I don't know who sees it for Jake Paul right now or how. Interesting, though. Really interesting. Paul is never going to stop fighting. You know he's got that Cleveland. He's got the land all up in him. Fifth round of 8 possible. Numbers are spiking here on MMA Weekly. So glad to have you with me. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Scott Peterson on site in Glendale, Arizona. Jake Paul, the problem child, in round 5 out of 8 against the legendary Anderson Spider Silva. Live coverage and reaction on MMA Weekly. So pumped to have you with me. Again, in a couple of weeks, it's going to be Madison Square Garden, UFC 281, the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, against his combat sports, or at least his kickboxing nemesis, Michael Pereira. Beat him twice when they were both kickboxing, and now he's trying to get Izzy's UFC belt. Got a big card. Frankie Edgar's last fight is on that card. Some big fights. Zhang Wei Li and Carla Esparza for the women's strawweight. Hopefully get Carla out of there and get to the beasts at the top of that division. Showtime has it for Jake because it's rigged. I mean, Jake has been in a corner or up against the ropes all night. Literally. I mean, he hasn't been taking a lot of damage. Oh, nice uppercut from Anderson Silva, though. I don't believe that Jake Paul feels Anderson Silva can hurt him. I do believe that Jake Paul has Anderson Silva's respect. And they each have each other's respect. But I don't think Jake Paul believes Silva can really hurt him. A lot of blood coming out of the nose of the Spider right now as they go to the corner. I just don't know how anyone would be scoring this right now. You know what I'm saying?
I think Silva has it. He definitely has the ring control.
The judges are giving it to Paul, Scott.
Paul's not able to bully Silva around. Silva's a big guy. Anyway, I gotta go.
Nope. Yep. And Scott, I know you can hear me. The Showtime judges have it for Jake Paul, but Silva had landed a clean uppercut in that round and a nice hook to follow it, and another left-handed uppercut. Brain dead. I am trying up here. Look, maybe the better girl will help me feel better. I feel better with the better girl. Teal and purple do wonderful things for ring girl costumes. I'm just saying. Round 6 of 8. This fight's going by fast. Nice little rhythm here. Paul and Silva. Very excited to have you with us here on MMA Weekly. While you're here, by the way, that like button, smash the bell, and the subscribe. Be up in here with us on MMA Weekly. We got a whole bunch of great stuff coming up. Really pumped for all the stuff we have coming your way in the future. Really excited. Starting with MSG in a couple of weeks, UFC 281. 282 in December is going to be a big one. Please get the Jones-Stipe fight done, please. You got all the big boys on that card already with Yuri and Jan Blachowicz is on that card. Yuri and Glover, the rematch. Blachowicz and Ankalev, the rematch. I mean, that's a big one. We need Jones and Stipe at the top of that card. I know we need Francis ready to fight whoever the winner is. I hate to call Jones and Stipe an interim title. Just the term is offensive to either one of those guys in their greatness. I'm still waiting for Jake Paul to turn his lights out with a counter, because that's what everyone wants to see. Will Anderson Silva avoid that fate is the question. I don't see Silva finishing Jake Paul here. He has commandeered the ring. It's a good way to put it. Anderson Silva throughout the night has taken control of the ring. He's made Jake Paul into an average-looking boxer. And Silva has been awarded 2 rounds by Showtime and Paul 3. So you got Paul at 48-47 through 5, the unofficial scorecard. Again, just the Showtime card. Close to the 1 minute mark. A lot of work being done in the clinch. Jake just holding him, dancing through the ring. And of course, Logan Paul right there in that seat where you're going to see him all night long. I mean, it's been a pretty entertaining fight. I'm not saying it hasn't. It's been pretty good. Anderson Silva is for real in there. Not a slouch. At 47, boxing, looking good in there. I'm still waiting for Anderson to leave himself open for a big counter from Jake, though. It's the 6th round. Fighting in a phone booth right now, and Jake just pushing him out of the corner with his shoulder. I would look for the left hook, more of a counter with Jake Paul, especially with Silva being a southpaw. That lead legs up, that faces out over that
crowd.
Knee. I think Jake hit him with a counter left hook.
Is going wild with the end of that round. Blows being
I'm not
thrown.
At the end of the round yet, Scott. There's the end of the round. 3 seconds, 2.
Yeah, they're both just throwing bombs at the end of the round.
Yeah, nice exchange there, Scott, at the end of the round.
Yeah, the crowd is just into the. Everybody's standing, bro. It's rare you see at a fight where everybody's just standing. Everybody in this place is standing.
You gotta respect Jake Paul, man. Like I keep telling everybody in the chat, you have to respect what this kid's doing with a legendary fighter in Anderson Silva, regardless of him being 47 years of age. Jake Paul still trying to work that body, landed a nice right hand in the exchange in that round. Guys got to watch this language in here, man. You're going to get run. You're out of here, bro. You're gone. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone. How many rounds? It's 8 rounds. I mean, Jake with a nice left hook, just kind of some cobwebs to the spider. Sorry, I had to. Jake Paul is winning, only eyes of the fan, though. Bunch of idiots acting like they know something. It's ethereal. Okay, I mean, come on, dude. R.I.P. Joe Rogan. That only took a while. All right, we're in round 7. At least I don't have to listen to Morrow and Bernstein. This is a positive. I have closed captioning on. Even the closed captioning machine's going, no! Okay, I'm going to stop. My balls are not in, Jake's balls are not in my mouth. Guys, I'm calling it like I see him. If you guys think that I'm on Jake Paul's tip or something, this is not what it is. They gave Paul that last round. So they got it 4 rounds to 2, Jake Paul, 58-56. I don't know how to score these fights. I mean, I'm watching on a phone from a little bit of a distance. I'm doing a show at the same time. These judges are in all different places, and I know they're on the up and up with the Arizona Commission. You know what I mean? It is what it is, guys. But Jake Paul has turned it on. He's throwing a lot more punches these last couple of rounds. He's got fresh legs under him. In those middle rounds, he wasn't really looking all that spry, so to speak. Who's winning? I mean, it's close, bro. You guys keep asking me who's winning. Anderson Silva has controlled the ring, and I thought let off more shots. Jake Paul has fired counters all night long. He's looked good doing it. He's throwing a lot of jabs, working the body. I mean, I see Jake Paul coming to life right now. Jake Paul's coming to life. He's realizing he's got to let it all hang right now. He's not going to lose his in terms of this, and lose his undefeated record without showing up and showing out. And that's for sure. And it's a very close fight in my mind right now. A very close fight. Jake is really holding his own. I mean, look, you gotta start at some point, and I'm just gonna keep beating this. You gotta you got to start respecting what this dude's doing. I mean, you love to hate him, but tell me any of you in that position wouldn't do the same thing as Silva rushes forward. Jake against the ropes, his face getting a little red. No real visible damage on either fighter, although Silva had some blood coming through and out of his nostrils for a while there. Jake is breathing heavy here in round 7. Got 40 seconds left. A nice straight right from Jake Paul. Snaps the head back of Anderson Silva. I'm still waiting. Jake Paul's got a left hook anytime he wants to throw it. He's got it off the 2. A 2 is a straight right. Come off the 2 with a left hook, either to the body or to the side of the dome. I'm waiting for that. See, people have it 58-56 to Silva. Austin Bell's got that. Showtime has it for Paul because you're watching Showtime and they're paying Paul and Silva's the opponent. But you got 10 seconds left in round 7. Then you're going to the 8th and final round. So regardless of what happens, you got Jake Paul going into the final round. Won't say going the distance with Anderson Silva, but Jake's still unable to connect with that counter right. He's too far out. Silva's smart enough to keep the distance to where it's stopping right there. Like, it's literally stopping right there. And you got to have confidence in that distance. But Jake has really started to connect more with these counters. And there's a nice flurry. Left hook, right hook. Silva eats a big shot. Jake Paul has got the left hook. If he can develop the left hook, okay, and it doesn't have to just be the check hook, counter hook. If he can develop a left hook that's at least on the same or close to the same level as his right hand, this dude's going to be a big problem. He's got that hook there all night. He's got to learn that confidence to throw it, okay? Anderson Silva with a chance to end this whole Jake Paul thing. Remember, that second Woodley fight, people were saying, oh, Jake's ahead on the scorecards, right? But no one knew for sure. And then, bam, it was like a gunshot. So will this be around? Jake Paul is ready to go. He's dancing out there. Anderson Silva coming out of his corner. It's round number 8, the final round. Jake Paul, Anderson Silva from Arizona on Showtime pay-per-view. Proud to have you here on MMA Weekly. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, and we are pumped tonight. Silva coming out throwing big shots to start the round. I love this. Come on, guys. This is when you're in the arena and you're standing and you're screaming and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, oh, knockdown for Jake Paul. Was that a slip? Was that a slip? Knocked down. He's got to get up. Anderson Silva, it looked like it was at least a partial slip. Jake Paul with a knockdown. That's big in round number 8. Wes Melton says Silva's fine. Jake Paul maybe smelling a little bit of blood. Oh, Anderson Silva on his heels now. Paul taking control of the ring. Jake Paul coming out strong. Jake Paul tried to fight Tommy Fury and Naseem Rockman Jr. I thought it was a bit of a slip. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen a replay yet. Oh, Silva with a nice left counter into the rib cage. Got a minute 45 remaining. Both guys pretty tired, exhausted, as a matter of fact. Wow. Look at this. Silva backs Jake up into the corner again. Seems to be able to do that all night. We got a minute and a half left. And the inexperience of Jake Paul possibly here want to finish this thing with a knockout. Silva coming forward looking for a finish. And he's starting to look like he's been in a fight for 8 rounds. Anderson Silva's a little pieced up. Got some shots showing on his face visibly. And oh, look at him against the ropes just going after Jake Paul. This is great. It's entertaining, man. We're under a minute left in this fight. This is very entertaining. Logan Paul screaming. Everybody's on their feet in that building. People are loving it. Say what you want about Jake Paul and fights like these, but the fans have been on their feet all night long in Glendale. All night long. They've been on their feet. Paul escapes the ropes again. The ropes again. You got 40 seconds left. Round 8. Again, the 8th and final round. Silva continuing to come forward. Exhausted. Maybe a little frustrated with Jake grabbing him there. Anderson's like, I got counters for days for those. 20 seconds left. Logan Paul looking like he's feeling like Jake's got the win. You got 13 seconds, 12, 10 seconds. Come on, man. Let's finish this thing, boys. Throw down. Anderson pushing forward toward the ropes. 5 seconds. Paul throws a counter left. 3 seconds. Jake Paul able to hold off at the end and not go for that blistering finish. Paul's fans seem to think he did enough. Anderson Silva's family. Wow, this is Jake Paul's up on the corner of the ropes like Stone Cold Steve Austin going like this. Can I get a hell yeah? I mean, did Jake Paul do enough to win? I don't see the numbers. I don't see anything from the naked eye. It seems to me that it was very, very close. I mean, it'd almost be like a draw. To me, watching these two guys, and they both threw a lot of punches. They both were very pragmatic, very scientific, very strategic with the way they fought this fight. And I actually was impressed with it. And you knew Anderson Silva would be that way. You knew this wouldn't be a dude just slinging leather, going for a knockout in there, MMA fighter going in there and trying to be a boxer. No, he's being serious about boxing, and Jake Paul is too. So from that standpoint, this was the best Jake Paul fight. He's down on his knees in front of Anderson Silva right now. The two of them are kind of like on their knees and giving each other respect. I think that's really cool, obviously. But look, man, I mean, Jake Paul shows respect to the sport. He shows respect to the fighters. Anderson Silva is hugging him. I mean, this is pretty cool right now. I'm not going to lie. Would I rather see Spence and Crawford? Would I rather see Davis and Garcia? Would I rather see Fury and Joshua? Well, no, not now, actually, Fury and Joshua. But you know what I'm saying. Yes, 1,000 times yes. But on a Saturday night in late October, when I'm so sick of all these damn pumpkin lattes and pumpkin bathroom sprays every time you walk in, and pumpkin candles and pumpkin lotion and pumpkin soap and body splash, and everywhere you go is pumpkin. I'm ready for this stuff to be over. So yeah, nice little, that was a knockdown. Silva was in tight on Jake Paul in 7th round, and kind of buckled his knee a little bit. So that was a legit knockdown. So Jake Paul did have a knockdown in the 7th round.
So you think that? So you think that will do it? You think the knockdown will solidify the win for Paul?
Yeah, I'm going Jake Paul, unanimous decision.
Just to let everybody know, we will be at the post-fight press conference live, so just stay on with us for Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. I'm sure both of them will be coming backstage. So I will be heading back there soon as they announce the winner.
Nice little. What are we gonna do? Stop the stream and restart, Scott?
No, we'll keep it on the same stream as long as we have internet connection.
Look at that. Yeah, that's a legit knockdown. I mean, Jake Paul did legit knock him down in the 7th. And that could be the difference that we look at in this fight. Jake won, let's go. What do you guys think about all this pumpkin crap, right? I mean, if you're in a relationship and these women, I mean, it's starting in August now. I don't even necessarily like pumpkin. I didn't like pumpkin pie. I do like the pumpkin chocolate chip cookies from Whole Foods. I'm not going to lie. Those can stay. We can keep those. I don't know what you guys think about all that. Silva won, rigged, y'all suck. We don't suck. We're just here trying to have fun and make a living, guys. Logan Paul's in the ring. How cool is it that Logan Paul's gonna take on Roman Reigns in a match in Saudi Arabia, WWE? I mean, this dude is legitimately, if you've seen Logan Paul wrestle, he's got the athleticism. These guys can do it. They can do this stuff. I'm not saying Jake Paul's a world champion boxer. Tell me you wouldn't do this. God, those girls are hot. I love that my ADHD, SP, superpower, not ADHD, not deficit. These girls are gorgeous, and Jimmy Lennon has no idea. He's being propped up by a stick. It's like Weekend at Bernie's. They just pull the thing in the back, and his voice goes, "Time." Anyone get knocked out? No, Silva got knocked down. Silva got the bag. Thank you. Silva got the bag. Oh, no. 78-73? And still undefeated. Jake Paul. The problem child beats Anderson Silva. He's telling everybody to shh. I mean, to say 78-73 and have Jake Paul dominating that fight, I mean, I'm not a boxing judge, but lordy, that's, I mean, I don't know. That's, again, everyone's saying rigged is an NPC. Baddie Alert. Where's Baddie Alert? I like your name, Baddie Alert. Saying is an NPC, is a non-playable character. How do I know what that is with my gray hairs? Because my 13-year-old son was on Snapchat telling his friends that his parents are NPCs. An NPC is a character that you control, and the actual game controls it in a video game. Usually, just like the innocent bystanders on GTA or something are just NPCs. They don't stand for anything. They don't do anything. They can't do anything. So I think it's funny that anyone who thinks this is rigged is an NPC. I mean, Paul with a lot of jabs, 32 compared to 13 for Silva. Silva lost this fight not throwing jabs, apparently, because the power shots were a lot more in Silva's favor. His percentage was lower at 66 of 176 for 38, 51 of 121 for 42% for Paul. But in terms of total accuracy, Silva was 31%, landed 79 shots total to Jake's 83 of 336. More volume for Jake, a little bit better accuracy for Anderson, but the stand is not a lot of jabs from Anderson Silva. So now Ariel Helwani goes in the ring and says, I've never seen a performance like this before, or whatever he's going to ask. One of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, fair and square. Can you put into words what's going through your mind right now? Money and lots of it. I like how he has karma tattooed on his shoulder. He's got blood trickling out of his nose. I like Jake Paul. I'm sorry, man. Jake won. We all knew he would win. What do you guys think? Who's next for Jake Paul? Nate Diaz is there. Is there call Nate Diaz? Man, I could bet on anything all night long. I could bet on anything. Silva, for anybody who thinks this is rigged, is clearly upset and disappointed that he lost this fight. I mean, he's looking at this as rankings. Silva maybe wanted to make another title run. This is not a fixed or thrown fight by any just not. If you're watching at home, it doesn't matter if you have talent or anything. You just have to work and you can accomplish your dreams. And you guys just want to sit there and hate, man. When I was 13 years old, I wanted to do this, and now I'm fighting. You can do anything you want in this world. Yeah, let's hate that guy. Let's hate the guy that's showing us you can do whatever you want. Let's hate the guy that's going in there and fighting MMA world champions. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't go in there and fight these people. Are you going to go in there and fight Anderson Silva? Are you going to go in there and fight Tyron? Hell, are you going to go in there and fight Nate Robinson? Are you even good enough to have any kind of a social media following? Woman who bags your groceries. All you people sitting there talking trash and putting down Jake Paul and Anderson Silva because you have nothing better going on in your life than to sit there and do that. You're better than that. I'm better than that. Let's be better than that. Let's just be better than that. Why do we need to sit back and take shots at people who are trying to do things in the world, who are trying to make things happen, who are finding their lane, jumping in a car, taking the wheel and pressing the gas? How can we continuously hate on people like that in this country? I don't know. And Logan Paul knows exactly where to stand, right behind him with the camera on him. I mean, these guys know what they're doing, right? And everyone's telling me to shut up right now because I'm saying that, like people are taking advantage of their opportunities and we hate them. Is that now the American way? Anyone who's doing well, let's just hate on them.
So we will go.
Are you backstage now, Scott?
We will go right to the press conference. So we'll have that up soon.
Am I sticking around?
Yeah, stick around for a while.
I'm just looking at these Paul brothers, man. Laughing straight to the bank. What else is Ariel going to ask him? Let me see. Anyone, anytime, any place? Okay, no one in particular. I think it's Scott, can you hear me? Scott. We'll get when Scott can hear me. We'll get because when I was talking to Jake Paul on stage at the press conference in September, I literally asked him, are you frustrated with the boxing side of it because you keep needing these MMA fighters to make these fights happen, whether it be Askren, whether it be Woodley twice, whether it be, and he joked about a third time this week, Diaz was there this week, whether it be Anderson Silva. The boxers haven't shown up to fight Jake Paul. Tommy Fury supposedly had issues with his family's involvement with those criminals over in Ireland that got arrested. And then you had Hasim Rahman Jr. and that debacle with his weight. And I said, man, you almost need to fight MMA fighters because the boxers don't take boxing seriously. Make sure you check out that clip on MMA Weekly. So who's next for Jake Paul? By decision, Jake Paul. By a very unanimous and very big gap. Unbelievable, man. I don't know what you guys want me to say. I'm looking at the comments as they go by. Most of them are hidden. It's like they want me to sit up here and bitch about everything and talk about how much it sucks and life is awful and this and that. I mean, come on, guys. It's a Saturday night. We got some entertainment here. You guys aren't watching Lomachenko. The UFC fights ended a long time ago, right? I mean, what happened in the Loma fight? Let's see what we got here. I don't know. You guys are too much, man. Not letting you bring me down. I got a good night waiting for me. I got my girl with a bottle of wine, a piece of fish. That's what I got going on. So Lomachenko won by unanimous decision. No surprise there. And now Helwani interviewed Silva, and I did that last week. It's a lot of fun. In-ring interviews, especially with the winners. It's like a dream come true for them in that moment. And I don't know. I think you know what? Who's next for Jake Paul? I mean, you got a lot of options, and it's a big payday, right? Where else is Nate Diaz gonna make that much money? That's the question. Is Nate Diaz? He's gonna make big money in one of two places, maybe three. The biggest money, and now Nate Diaz will make a lot of money in cannabis, a ton of money in cannabis. He'll make a ton of money with his fight promotion, especially if he fights. Nate Diaz is the type of dude who can put himself on his own fight promotion, sell a ton of pay-per-views, and make himself a few $1 million. He has that ability. But where Nate is really going to get that bag, where's Nate going to get that bag? Two places. Conor McGregor, Jake Paul. Period. Anderson Silva's really upset and disappointed that he lost this fight, by the way. This is not an act. So Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley twice, Anderson Silva. Legendary welterweight champion, legendary as legendary gets, middleweight champion. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys saw the results from the UFC fights. Shout out to my boy, Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Okay.
Great win over Jared Vanderhoek. Tim Means fought on that card today, another one of my guys from a long time ago. And then Calvin Kattar, very impressive win over a beast in Arnold Allen. A lot of people didn't see the Kattar win come in 8 seconds of round 2 with the TKO. There is the dais. Who's going to come up there first? It's funny, that looks like the Scarface poster. Looks like the Scarface poster. You know he's going to lose, but pat him on the back because he got the bag. I mean, you get the bag, right? Logan Paul's going to hit Jake's girlfriend. Bro, we want you to talk about boxing. Silva's a very good boxer. I mean, look, do you want Jake Paul? Does Jake Paul need to be a serious contender? Does he need to climb the pound-for-pound list? He's already shown some signs of CTE. Jake Paul would be nuts if he lets his life quality be affected by this later on down the road with the money. And the judges had it 78-73 and 77-74. Wide margin, 78-73. Two of the judges had it for Jake Paul, and one had it 77-74. So the judge who thought Silva did better had him losing by 3 rounds in an 8-round fight. In an 8-round fight. And you got Georges St. Pierre on the desk, which means no one can understand a word he's saying. So let's see how the closed captioning people can keep up with GSP. With the tens and the kicks. Oh, no kicks. It's not MMA. I love Georges St. Pierre, but an analyst he is not. Please be honest, who won? Big Canadian 21, I told you, man. Jake Paul won. Better volume, more punches landed, higher accuracy. I mean, and Anderson Silva did not throw the jab. He threw 13 jabs the whole fight. When you're a boxer and you don't throw the jab, you're not winning that fight. You're not winning fights without the jab. Judges are looking for the jab. Everything in boxing works off the jab. Everything in boxing is set up off of the jab. You don't jab, you know, Jake Paul haters are hilarious. Did Anderson Silva win? Definitely not. Jake Paul is making a mockery of these quote-unquote pros. Canelo is 20 pounds lighter than Jake. Please don't tell me you want Jake to fight Canelo. Jake wins over... You guys are crazy. Jake does not beat Canelo. Jake Paul is very impressive. True. Rigged for money. Who knows? Anderson Silva did get him with some nice uppercuts. Truth, he did. Those are facts. Rigged, hoop headbutted, babble. Jake knocked him down twice. Damn, was about to bet on Anderson Silva. Silva was a big dog. He was a big underdog. And Jake, obviously, I think he was minus 280 something. I don't know, man. Look, it's a fun thing to watch. Are you happy if you spent 60 bucks? Look, none of you in here spent it. So, hey, you want to keep that door closed? Press conference next on MMA Weekly. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when more content's coming. We got some big stuff coming up from New York. We got some big stuff finishing the year with the UFC. Big time fights and heading into 2023. We are just getting started, man. We got some big sponsors coming on like Pristine Auction and NPCs coming on. Nord. I mean, we got some big companies coming on with MMA Weekly. We're very excited. And Scott, if you can hear me, it just went black inside the building. There we go. We got it back. And I've been in that building so many times. I live in Arizona. You guys know. I mean, I'm doing a studio show now, so I'm not down there. But I was down there for the press conference and, you know, showing some highlights now of the fights that took place tonight. But, you know, some real opportunities. And we haven't even talked about this, guys. What about the opportunities for the undercard fighters? What about the opportunities that they get on a show like this? Because of Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, you get more eyes and ears on these young fighters, man. I mean, look, it's helping out some young fighters. It's on a night where Lomachenko, who's one of the real legends of the modern era of boxing, is fighting. And that's going to be Richard Sines. Fox 10 in Phoenix. One of my buddies. He's been around a long time. Say hi to him for me, Scott. There's my dude. Paul versus Silva on the Scarface poster. Uriah Hall, in his boxing debut, got a unanimous decision win over Le'Veon Bell, the former NFL running back. Brain-dead former NFL running back Le'Veon Bell, who cost himself, what, $80 million? Man, they work those running backs, though, right? Your first 3 years in the league, you can't get off that rookie deal. You're making squat for money. They use you like a rented mule, and then at the end of it, they go, well, the shelf life for a running back, you already used it, man. Pay up. Not my rules, yours. Zach Vanderveer, people got to stop hating on Jake. He works harder than anyone else and takes the sport seriously. Thank you. So Jake won. Hasbulla would smoke Jake Paul. I'm waiting for the first Hasbulla fight. I'm waiting for the first Hasbulla fight, just so you guys know. Man, the Sylve kid's good. First round. Knockout. And the better girls are undefeated. Their girls are better than yours. A lot of clinch work, a lot of Jake Paul being pushed into the ropes. And maybe I put too much into that whole generalship thing and ring control for Anderson. You know. It's a lot of fun, though. I'll tell you guys this.
Mitch, Steve, we're still waiting to fill this in a little bit more? Yeah, we do. We want to wait. We got 10 minutes. We're 10 minutes out.
10 minutes out. Uh-oh.
Yes, we are.
10 minutes out. What are you going to do with your 10 minutes? Who won? Anderson Silva did not win.
Ashton Sylve.
Wasn't rigged. Silva was acting cocky. Silva is 50 years old, dog 47.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Paul versus DeSantis. There you go, Scott. Who else do you want to see Jake Paul fight? Let's determine this and let's completely take this off the rails. Who else do you want Jake Paul to fight? Who else? It's nice to have a real event in Arizona this year, man. Think about it. The Cardinals suck. They are awful. And the Suns, they started, that train was coming off the track before the season even started. Get the combination of the local media out there, the boxing media, trying to be all serious. Our boxing media. Cyborg was there. Nate Diaz there. I saw him at the W at the bar earlier. My boy David Benavidez.
No, I just was looking for something.
Yeah, Cyborg and Anderson back there. Jake Paul, man. Interesting. Jake Paul versus Nancy Pelosi. Paul versus Tyson. Adesanya versus Paul. He's not going to fight Mike Tyson. I was hanging out with Mike's son Amir last week. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are not fighting. That's for damn. Mike Tyson's not fighting anymore. He's going to be on mountaintops smoking weed, eating mushrooms, and giving people advice. That's the rest of the life story of Mike Tyson. I can tell you that. It's going to be amazing, by the way, that Mike Tyson becomes the voice of our generation. This guy's getting some camera time up there. Some young guys in the media tonight, Scott. Young and spry. Still 10 minutes out. Paul versus Kane. Paul versus Baby Trump. Jake Paul versus Black Adam. There you go. Andrew Tate versus Young Boy NBA. Shout out to Young Boy NBA. Those of you who are in the nope. The fight has ended. Showtime pay-per-view. So if you had spent $80 on this thing, how'd you be feeling right now? Paul versus Dahmer. There's our winner, Scott. Paul versus Dahmer. There you go. Gotta love Netflix. Whose ear is going out on international stream? Just elbow him, Scott, whoever that is. You have my permission. Jake Paul versus Will Smith. I would love to see Will Smith get the shit smacked out of him. That would be good. Ryan Garcia, Jake will KO Diaz. I believe that. Paul versus Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to do too. Spurlunkin he got there.
Okay,
Jake
thank you,
Paul
thank you so much.
versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Why? Jake Paul versus Tekashi 6ix9ine. Paul versus Trump. Paul versus Ryan Garcia. Paul versus Mr. McMahon. Oh, Mark Raymondi's there. He wrote a serious article about my interview with Anderson Silva on ESPN this week. Funny how so much serious news coverage came from him. Everything became so serious. It's all so serious. Jake Paul versus One Punch Man. Paul versus Kanye. Someone take away Kanye West's access to the media. The one thing I take from that, by the way, is that the curse of the Kardashians is undefeated. It's alive and well. I thought Kanye would beat it. I mean, you just look at, they took the greatest Olympic athlete of all time and turned him into a woman. A woman. Lamar Odom almost died in a whorehouse with crack running through his veins. Reggie Bush and Chris Humphrey's career's over. AJ never heard from him again. Kanye losing his damn marbles and going completely off the reservation. The curse of the Kardashians is alive and well. Did you guys see the meme too? It said Adidas' new spokesperson, Pete Davidson. That's just it. Paul versus Post Malone. I love Post Malone. Just have to throw that out. Posty. Paul versus World Hunger. Who would win? Jake Paul versus World Hunger. That was pretty good, guys. I like that. Jake Paul eats your ass. Well, he doesn't, actually. But I would charge him a lot if he wanted to. He can afford it. What do we got? Jake Paul versus Joe Rogan. Paul versus Putin. Huh. Interesting. Paul versus King Charles. Who do you want to see? Jake Paul's next opponent. Who's gonna be the guy? And who, Scott, you gotta clear out that camera, man. People are just a bunch of fat heads. Paul versus Chuck Norris. There we go. Paul versus Speed. Obama versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul versus Tom Brady. If you were Giselle, who would you choose? Ryan Garcia, come whoop this dude for everyone, please. Garcia's 130.
I'm just a regular person.
Brittany Griner. Oh, Brittany Griner. Gotta go there with Brittany Griner. Don't break laws. Maybe she'll stand for the national anthem now. Maybe she won't talk bad and she won't say the anthem shouldn't be played at sporting events anymore. I'm guessing if and when Brittany Griner ever gets her happy ass back on American soil, she might appreciate it here a little bit more than she did in the past. Some of these things that she took for granted. I'm just saying. Jake Paul. KSI. Everyone wants to see KSI and Jake Paul. Jake Paul versus Nick J. Fuentes with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Nick J. Fuentes, for the super chat. You guys can super chat as much as you want, especially the ones who are saying how much you hate me. Prove it. Super chat me right now. Pay me $5 to go away. If I get enough of them, I'll stop right now. They're not doing themselves any favors by making people wait so long for press conferences that a lot of people aren't going to want to watch anyway. I feel like I need to run these things. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? No, how would it possibly make any sense? Uriah Hall with a win over Le'Veon.
Tonight was a fantastic night. We had some amazing people on the card, came out, did their job. Is this what I'm supposed to say? All right, what do y'all want? I'm kidding. What's up, man? I did, man. I went back there. Of course, I was rooting for Anderson. It didn't go his way, but man, it was a good fight. He's good. He's young. Obviously, I'm 10 years younger, but man, I would love that opportunity. So.
You're right over here. Speaking of your fight, now that you've had a couple hours to digest it, how do you grade your performance in there against Le'Veon?
Man, I couldn't really do what I wanted to do because he was so good at his job. I mean, he was awkward with it. He kept jabbing to the body. Of course, from his previous fight, I was seeing if he's trying to set something up. And just being in there, I trained that style because we practiced it for so long. And I was like, man, just feeling it was really weird. So I had to slow down, adjust, and I had the timing. Everything was just timing. That's why I waited for so long. I was like, okay, what is he doing wrong here? And I had to start catching him off with some unorthodox moves. And I basically just adjusted. But, man, that kid is tough. I give him so much props to stepping in here, man. You know, he was in the back. And, of course, that's the part of the sport that you guys don't see that I hope you would someday put a report on. You know, it sucks when you're back there alone and everything kind of caves in. And I'm sure those doubt, those negative affirmations going to come in his head. But, you know, it's all about the journey. And I told him just keep your head up, and it's a part of the sport.
And you had mentioned that maybe what he was doing right caught you off guard. You weren't prepared for that. At what point, and was it the first round that, like halfway through, that you had to maybe throw out the game plan and adjust on the fly?
Yeah, the first round was, wasn't going my way and all, but I was trying to stay poised more than anything because in that realm, it's new environment, it's a younger crowd, and, people were there, they're saying stuff. I don't know the judges. I just had to stay cool, calm, and collected, and I think I adjusted maybe third round or second round, and I just started to pick it up. But it was very difficult for me. A lot of people aren't giving this kid credit. He's pretty good. I didn't realize he was that good.
So what's up, Uriah? Raul from Low Kick MMA. I just got one quick one for you. You've been very open about going through a depression-like state and talking about your mental health. I just want to know, what is the biggest lesson you learned about yourself during that time?
Good question. To surround myself with the right people. And that energy is a real thing. I had to feed off the right energy because everyone was saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And no one was saying, are you okay? No one was saying the right stuff. Are you okay? Do you need something? So I was like, well, what's next? And it's like, bro, I'm here. I'm trying to figure this shit out. So it was just surrounding myself with the right people. And, of course, I stopped talking to most of my friends, and some got it, not everyone got it, but it was just paying more attention to me. And even that is scary because then you fall deep in that hole. But I had to handpick these people that I wanted to hang out with, and luckily they played a part to getting me back. And what I realized with stuff like this, it's ongoing. It's not like, okay, I'm out of it. There's moments where it's lurking, like, hey man, remember me? I'm like, fuck, you're still here? So I know a lot of people are dealing with it, and the main thing is consistency. Training helps, of course. and just being outside, just doing stuff, to not stay in that dark place.
Hey, Uriah. Coach Schaaf and yourself spoke to me earlier this week about how much the game has changed and how people take on different personas and attempt to advance their career. What was the significance of that Be Real t-shirt you wore down to the ring?
Well, that was influenced by Mike Tyson. I don't know if y'all saw that walkout. I mean, that scared me watching it. You know, I didn't play the song because I was like, I don't want to play that song. I don't want to be too scary. But it was just to send a message to be real, man. There's a lot of fake people out there. There's fake people in this room right now. But I love the fact that I can be me. And here's the thing about being yourself. Regardless, you're going to be hated or liked. You know, if you're a piece of shit, be a piece of shit. If you're a good guy, be a good guy. If you're an asshole, kudos. But be your fucking self. So I stay mottoed to that. And I influence people to be themselves because we all know the world is changing. You can't say shit no more, right? So if I can be me, I can go to bed feeling good about me.
And following the fight, you spoke about wanting to continue this new pursuit of boxing. You made it clear that you want this Jake Paul fight next. If he were to go another direction and that fight weren't to be made, do you want to stay in this boxing realm, maybe fight a former UFC fighter or a different professional boxer?
Honestly, man, I'm just having fun. I mean, you know, again, when I was on vacation, I got this call from my coach. I was like, all right. But I was still in my weird little world of trying to figure out what to do. And plus, I was partially depressed as well. So the training definitely got me out of it. But I'm just having fun. This was a complete different type of setting. The training, of course, wasn't grueling on the body. MMA is hella worse. You know, the getting up and grabbing motherfuckers. This was just pure skill, you know, and technicality. It was just the hands, the movement, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if the opportunity strikes, I'll definitely do it. Like I said, I love to compete. I'm still in my prime. I still got some more miles on me, and if something comes my way, I'm doing it. But for the most part, I'm just having fun. And yeah, if there's a potential chance to kick that dude's ass, fuck yeah, I'll do it.
Hey, Uriah. Ben Davis from MMA Island.
What's
In
up?
mixed martial arts, you were known for the kicks. How did you feel your hands were tonight?
You know, there's a weird thing with that. With the moment I put boxing gloves on, I forget about my legs. My legs don't exist. So it was an easy transition. And I can say as a mixed martial artist, you know, it's like going to grappling class only. You just adjust to it. And going to kickboxing class only. You just adjust to it. And that's what I love about mixed martial arts. You get to pick and take away your weapons and stuff like that. So the adjustment is not a problem at all. Of course, there are moments I'm like, man, I could kick this motherfucker. Like, the open is right there. But, you know, it's good to maintain that discipline. And I saw a lot of holes in my game. I felt it. And it's just getting comfortable in that environment. So I'm excited to go back and train those holes.
Now, after watching Jake Paul go the distance with Anderson Silva, how do you feel a matchup between yourself and him would go? Do you think that you'd find the finish?
Man, this is the part where I got to be careful what I say, huh? I definitely think I can take him. I mean, he has an awkward style. I was watching him, and his style will lure you in, you know. And it's almost like it's hard to hit him the way he stands a certain way and he throws these awkward punches, and almost the fights from all his fights, he almost does the same thing. But I definitely think I could give him a challenge because I'll come at him. You know, he'll hit me, but I'll come at him. I don't back up with boxing gloves on. I'll take a couple shots, but I'll come at you. And Le'Veon was probably one of the hardest hitting dudes with those gloves I ever felt. So I don't think Jake hits that hard. Yeah, bro, you don't. Yeah, I said it.
Uriah, I know that you have tremendous respect for Anderson Silva, and he's a beloved figure in combat sports. Watching Jake Paul beat him, does that spark a fire in you?
Fuck
do you
yeah, it
wanna
did,
fight him
man.
even more?
You should have heard me in the background. I was like, revenge is coming.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it sucked. It even sucked when I had to fight him. I mean, Anderson has done so much for the sport. He inspired a lot of people, you know. Some people in this room. He's an icon. He's a legend. When people say I'm a legend, I'm like, that dude is a legend. And I have so much respect for him. It hurt to watch, but, you know, I got to separate those emotions because at the end of the day, it's a skill set. And Jake Paul did what he had to do to win. But, yeah, I definitely felt it for Anderson. But to me, he's still one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, for being at his age, doing what he does and moving the way he does. And I remember when I fought him, I was throwing punches, and he would move just enough. And I'm like, I know what the fuck that means. I got to be careful. So I take nothing away from Anderson. This doesn't even mean anything for what this guy solidified in this game. he's still the best.
And you have the mic in front of you. I don't know if you want to send a specific message to Jake Paul.
You want me to, isn't he here? I can say it to his face. Isn't that better?
Well, he's not here in this room specifically.
Well, when he gets here, y'all tell him that I say, "What's up, bro?" You know what that means.
What sort of impact do you feel like Jake's victory has had on the sport of boxing?
What?
What sort of impact do you feel like Jake's victory has on the sport of boxing? Because obviously he beat a legend of the game. So
He survived. Let's be. I mean, listen. There's a new crowd, right? I'm sure there's more kids out there watching than adults. So the kids love him. What are they? Gen Z? Is that what they call him? Yeah, they love him. Millennials too. They love him. It's good for the sport. It's a good payday. It's entertaining. Listen, the sport is changing. Let's be real here. It's changing. It's entertaining now. It's entertainment. It's not about integrity and honor and all that stuff anymore. It's entertainment. Can you sell? Can you put people in the seats? Can you become a character that we can relate to? Can you say some dumb or weird shit, or wear some weird shit, or look weird or whatever to put people in the seat? That's what it comes down to. I'm aware of this. I'm not going to fall victim to that. But if it gravitates those people to come in and pay y'all money, then fuck it, do it. I'm here to fuck shit up, get paid, and get the fuck out.
Uriah, did you see anything from Jake's skill set that impressed you at all?
His tattoos. No, I'm kidding. From his, you said his skill set?
Yeah, from what did you see from his boxing today? Was there anything that impressed you from him?
Listen, I'm not here to bash people, man. This sport is hard to do, you know? And even going back to Le'Veon Bell, he took a risk coming in here. I know everybody was like, oh, you're going to die against Uriah. I'm like, and some people wrote or said, or I should have finished him around. I'm like, this dude is pretty good. He's actually pretty good. So I think Jake is getting better. You know, it's all about consistency. I've watched his first fight to now, and he's actually getting better. But it's all about adjustment, and that's why I like mixed martial arts so much, because you can adjust. But boxing, you can only adjust so much. But honestly, I'm gonna say I think he's gotten better. But I can see so many holes, and it's just making the right adjustment to, you know, take him out.
We have time for one last question. Anybody?
Be careful with your question.
It's not for you. Safe. Coach Safe.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
How was this week? How was this experience for you? It's definitely different than these weeks at the Apex recently. Can you just reflect on the experience overall?
I mean, I did this with Darren Williams when he fought Frank Gore. Similar setup, same people, Showtime. So I kind of was ready for it. But Le'Veon is tough. I don't think people really realize how hard this is. And Uriah hits hard as shit. I mean, he hits hard. And Le'Veon ate those shots, no problem. Yeah. So it was a little bit more work than we anticipated. I thought he was going to crumble under the pressure, but he did not. So afterwards, we went to the back, and I got on a knee, actually started icing his eye, and I just told him, I said, dude, you are so tough. Like, I don't think you understand. Nobody takes those risks on their second fight in boxing. Go back and look at Canelo Alvarez. Go back and look at Floyd Mayweather. No one fights someone who's seasoned for their second fight. And Uriah is seasoned. Even though he's an MMA fighter, he was a kickboxer before, he has a lot of experience. So I really think the story is, you know, Le'Veon did a really great job, and we have a lot of respect for him. And that's it. You know, I think Jake is getting better too, and we'll see what happens. But the promotion's been good to us. They've taken care of us, and we had a good time. This is really more about having fun for us. And boxing is very hard. I'm not trying to have that argument, but it's just a little bit different, and there's a lot kind of less involved. So for us, this is just kind of fun, and we had fun, and we got the job done, and I'm at the Apex next week. So, and it's nothing but love for the UFC. The UFC's been fantastic too. So we like to jump from both.
And last thing, real quick, you spoke about fun. You mentioned fun. Uriah said that he would love to have Le'Veon come down to Fortis and Dallas and train. Would that be something you think would be fun?
Absolutely. I mean, when you're a coach, what you look for in an athlete is you look for toughness. You look for someone that won't quit. Everybody, you know, can learn, but if they have no heart and they quit when they get under pressure, then where is there to go? And Le'Veon showed so much heart.
Word.
And so, he's so tough. And I think that you know, people just kind of really need to understand that. And again, people are going to talk, but I really hope that he does come and train with us.
Welcome.
And I think that what he said. I think Le'Veon could do well. He's an elite athlete, and he showed that. I mean, he never broke in there. And honestly, I thought he was probably going to when he got cracked. So nothing but respect for him and for his team. And
I was trying to put him away.
He was.
I really was.
He was. So, yeah, we would love to have him there. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ash. Congratulations.
All right. Thanks.
All right, Uriah Hall in the media room. Big win over Le'Veon Bell in his second fight. Le'Veon Bell, first fight, of course, was a win over Adrian Peterson. Knocked him out. Another former NFL running back. Still to come, Jake Paul, possibly Anderson Silva. I would not see why you wouldn't see Anderson Silva here. From Arizona, it's MMA Weekly's live coverage of Paul Silva. Saturday, October 29th. Happy Halloween. Happy, please get rid of all the pumpkin crap for another year. I can't stand any more of it. So I'm happy for this, and happy that we're going to be one day closer to my kids not eating 4,000 pounds of candy for the next 30 days.
Anderson Silva will be here in 2 minutes.
I wonder how high the diabetes rate spikes here around Halloween time. This is what I'm wondering. These are the thoughts that roll through my mind. We're doing really well with the numbers. Appreciate you guys here on MMA Weekly. Jake Paul versus me. There you go. Whoever me is. Jake Paul versus Jimmy Kimmel. Jake Paul versus RuPaul. Oh, we got some comedians in the house. If you didn't hear Scott Peterson on site in Arizona, he said Anderson Silva is coming to the dais. Un momento, por favor. Paul versus Pumpkin Spice. Thank you. Jake Paul versus Jake Paul. I like pumpkins and butter. I like pumpkin bread, and I like the chocolate chip pumpkin cookies from Whole Foods. They're pumpkin cookies with chocolate chips. That's the extent of mine. I'm not using the lotions. I'm not using the soaps. I'm not using candles. I don't want the shower gel. I even saw pumpkin tortilla chips at Trader Joe's. Are you shitting me? Pumpkin tortilla chips. Unbelievable. And how bad is the closed captioning on YouTube? I said Silva. And it tries to spell it C-I-L-L-L. Come on, man. Silva. Smash the like and subscribe buttons. Calvin Kattar with a big win over Ronald Allen, by the way, on UFC today. Big one in a couple of weeks. Mike Perry will F him up. Paul versus Perry. Oh, man. Paul versus inflation. Paul versus playoff Rondo. Where did that come from? If Jake Paul beats Silva, does it mean anything? If Silva's 47, Jake is supposed to beat a 47-year-old. Okay. Okay, so he did. We should be happy. Jake versus World Economic Forum. Jake versus gonorrhea. I'm amusing myself like a 2-year-old in the chat right now, Scott. As we wait for Anderson Silva. They wait so long for Silva and Paul to come to the press room, no one's going to be left when Jake Paul finally comes. They need to learn how to do these events. You would think someone would know by now. Or they would ask the tens and dozens of people who are in the back and cover these for a living. Maybe they might have some good advice. Maybe just a hunch. I mean, really, considering like everyone's gone by the time the main event fighter gets there. UFC does it too. This whole reverse system where they make everybody else come in first and then you wait until Jake comes in last. It's like, oh, Jake should come in first and let the numbers drop for everyone else who no one wants to see. See how that goes? You're welcome. Masterclass right there. Jake Paul versus Jared from Subway. That would be pretty funny. Jake versus Bank of America, not sure why. Jake versus Canelo. Jake versus Black Adam. Jake versus Shaq. Jake versus Joe Biden. Silva versus Bell. We are waiting for Anderson the Spider Silva. I don't think Anderson takes a hit on this. His legacy is his legacy. He went 1-7 at the end of his UFC career. He's still remembered for being a legend in mixed martial arts?
Whoever is in
Numero
that
uno.
door, go around.
What do you say? Jake versus Tate. Top G. Who wants to see the top G in Jake Paul? If you guys can super chat us, we can help make that happen. Jake versus these nuts. Who's clapping in the press room? Obnoxious. Here comes.
So hey, how y'all doing?
Kidding me?
Ashton, congratulations. Give us an opening comment on your win tonight.
I mean, first off, I'd like to thank God and my family and friends coming out here. And also, my opponent, recently he just told Jake and us that his mother is going through issues, I think. It's a health issue at the end of the day. So send prayers to her. And thank Jake and his team and everyone giving me this opportunity in Arizona for having me. There you go.
What's up, Ashton? Raul Lawrence here from Low Kick MMA. I mean, first round knockout doesn't really get much better than that, but I just want to know, how do you rate your performance tonight?
I give it an A+. I feel like the outfit topped it off. Yeah.
Perfect. That actually leads into my next question. What was the inspiration behind your outfit with the Minions?
Like I said, after the fight, it was like an inspiration at the same time. I mean, the Minions, you know, are just Minions. Like, you know, you would expect like Guru and everyone else to do like the big, you know, jobs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Minions, you know, come in and do, you know, the heavy duty work and, you know, unexpectedly. And I feel like I'm in the same position.
Ashton, congrats, man. 8-0, 8 knockouts. You knocked out Rodriguez in one round. Ryan Garcia, you're only 18 and you knock him out in the first round. Ryan Garcia did the same thing at Madison Square Garden 4 years ago. What do you think that says about you as a fighter early on? You were able to equal what someone like Ryan Garcia was able to do.
That ain't equal. He did better.
You actually did better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, I feel like I only compare myself to myself. So I just feel like I did better than my last fight. That's it.
And could you just take me through the knockout sequence? It seemed like you slipped 3 or 4 shots. He tried to unload, and then boom, the right uppercut came.
Honestly, I don't remember how many punches he threw before that, but I know I had to, you know, open up to make him open up. So I think I lunged in with a punch, kind of made a mistake at the same time, and then that's when he started unloading, and you know, I got defensive. But then I saw, you know, how wild he was, and you know, in previous fights he was pretty wild. So I gave it like, you know, half a second and, you know, counted that.
Ashton, back here. Hi, you're really young, so how do you sort of maintain keeping yourself focused and, I guess, not doing the standard things that most guys your age would be doing?
I've been kind of groomed for that since I was about 8 years old, but at the same time, I feel like my dad kind of helped me out through all of it and still now.
And dealing with like the media training and everything, are you still adjusting to it? Is it comfortable for you, or like how do you handle it?
It's pretty comfortable. Of course, it's a lot more than what I'm used to, but like I tell a lot of people, I grew up in the lights at an early age, so I mean, I'm pretty much comfortable throughout the whole thing. Thank you.
Hey, Ashton. Earlier this week, you told me that you started boxing 10 years ago, but your dad has actually been training you since you were just 3 years old. How much has he influenced you in your career, and do you think you'd be here without him?
I mean, he influenced me a lot, and at the same time, like you just said, I don't think I wouldn't be in this position without him. Like, I feel like I'll be playing another sport or something else, so I'm, you know, heavily thankful that, you know, he kind of kept me pushing into the sport and had me realize, you know, the opportunities and, you know, the talent I had in this sport.
And we know you get nerves before your own fight, the butterflies, everyone gets those nerves, but how are your nerves when you're watching Jake fight tonight, when he's fighting one of the combat sports goats, Anderson Silva? What are your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings like during that fight?
Yeah, that's a lot different from my fight. Like, when I'm fighting, I don't have as much nerves, but when, like, someone close to mine, or, you know, someone that I'm rooting for, like, my nerves is pretty heavy. So watching him, you know, fight Anderson, it it was crazy. I was like, kept turning around, kept talking to my friends and family, like, he got to win this round, Like, it's just a lot different from, when I'm in the ring.
And you spoke about not wanting to compare yourself to others and having that mentality, only comparing yourself to what you are capable of. So, in that note, where do you see yourself in 5, maybe 10 years? I don't want to sound like a job interview, but where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, I definitely see myself close to the end of my career, where be possibly have belts in different weight classes, because I feel like as I'm growing right now, the weight, maintaining this weight is pretty hard, and I feel like I want to hopefully get a belt in the next 2 years, and I feel like in 2 years I'll be at a different weight class, so I feel like I have belts under me in different weight classes.
Hey Ashton, Ben Davis from MMA Island. Now, we talked about your disciplined approach to training and your lifestyle, but what's the celebration going to look like tonight?
The same as usual, just kicking it with my family and stuff like that. I don't think I'm too much of a party guy. I like to, just, like a normal day. I feel like it's just a normal day in the gym, just, another goal we just accomplished, and, just celebrating with my family.
And now you mentioned watching the Paul and Anderson Silva fight. What was your reaction to Jake knocking him down?
It was pretty crazy. I knew it was gonna be that punch, but like towards the end of the rounds, it was like the 8th round, and I thought like he didn't have it in him anymore to put him down. And when that punch landed, it was kind of like, whoa, like maybe he could take him out after that.
Marcus Hayes, Fight Hub TV. This question's for your dad, actually. Dad, you put countless amount of time and hours in with your son. What does a night like this tonight feel like to watch your son excel on such a big stage?
It was amazing. Can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. It was amazing. I mean, it's just one step closer to our goal, but it was amazing to see him take on that much pressure, sold out crowd, millions watching, and he does it like a true professional, like a seasoned vet. He had, you guys seen it, so it was amazing to me, but we got that done, time to move on.
As a parent with 2 pretty outstanding sons myself, at what point did you look at your little man and say, man, this dude is going to be something special in the ring? At what point did you do that?
Man, I looked at him when he was very young and knew he was something special, period, to the world. I told him that. We was on the car ride. I said, you're going to impact this world. But in the ring, I've been training him since he was 3 years old. When we went to the gym the first week, I knew he had something. So at about 7 years old. But I always knew he was going to be special and impact the world. You guys just at the tip of the iceberg. He got way more to come and way more outside of boxing.
So, Ashton, you talked about your long-term plans. Is there anything you tell yourself or that your team tells you just maybe to keep yourself a little bit humble or to not get too high on this victory?
I feel like my team kind of wants me to express the cockiness a little bit more. I feel like they think I'm too humble.
And last one for me, did Jake Paul give any words of encouragement before the fight or just a message of anything?
Yeah, at the end of the day, he was, always in my corner and telling me that, like at the press conference, he knew it was coming, a knockout was coming.
Any other questions, guys? Is Long Beach coming? Strong Beach?
Strong Beach, it's always with me.
Thank you, Ashton. All right, thank you, Ashton.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Anderson Silva coming up next. Post-fight press conference. Jake Paul with a win by unanimous decision. I almost said De Silva. Unanimous decision over the Spider. Post-fight press conference on MMA Weekly. Smash that subscribe button. I like. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease right here with you. We got Scott Peterson on location. We got some big things coming up. MMA Weekly, and I have a light. Plug in somewhere. outlasted the battery. There we go. Ha! How about that? And this is unbelievable, but not really. They do it all the time. Like Jake Paul versus Justin Bieber. Huh. Interesting. So we're waiting for Ashton Sylve to come back. It's they're just waiting for everyone to be gone before they bring out the main event guys. Man of the hour right back there, Jake Paul. Ah.
Have a good night, guys.
Right. Well, the numbers are holding kind of strong, Scott. Jake Paul versus claustrophobia. Jake versus all the minions. Jake Paul versus Adam Sandler. In case you're just joining us, Jake Paul with the unanimous decision win over Ashton Sylve. Scott Peterson's in the press room at Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona, where the time is still only 10:37 p.m., so every media guy in that room has a chance to get out of there and have a bit of a night in the Arizona cooler. What's the temperature here now? I mean, it was so hot all summer, man. It's just nice to be escaped from that. It's in the 50s now. Canelo ducking Jake Paul. What do you guys, how about Jake Paul versus the McRib? I like that one. Okay, yeah, because that's what they need, a pep talk. Couple more minutes, guys. Hey, we'll eventually have him out of here. No one cares anymore. He would beat Nate Diaz. I believe not even interested in that. I would definitely like to see Rockman again. Whoa. Tommy Fury. Why, I don't know. Jake Paul versus Beetlejuice. There you go. Jake Paul versus Tony Montana on coke. Ooh, as opposed to Tony Montana off coke. Interesting. Very interesting. Jake Paul versus a Jake Paul versus your mom. Unrelated posts. Unrelated post. Jake Paul versus a cow and Jake Paul versus your mom. Has anyone seen your mom and a cow in the same place? Jake Paul versus Lil Wayne. Jake Paul versus the annoying commentator. That'll be good. I'll fight Jake Paul. All I need is like 200 grand. I mean, if everyone else is getting a couple million, I should get a couple $100,000. Jake Paul versus TRT Vitor. There we go. Jake Paul versus barking dogs. Jake versus McRibs. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we've devolved into. An Anderson Silva press conference. We're talking about Jake Paul versus McRibs. Now here comes Jake Paul. This is who everyone wants to see and hear from. The problem child, still undefeated, unanimous decision win over Anderson Silva. Jake Paul live from Arizona.
How's everybody doing?
MMAWeekly.
We're here for Jake Paul.
Hey, hey, hey.
On behalf of Jake and I, we want to thank Showtime, first and foremost, for working with us for his last 3 events. We want to thank Gila River Arena or Desert Diamond Arena. And most of all, we want to thank Anderson Silva for accepting this fight and putting on the tremendous performance that he did. As far as all the media here, we really appreciate you. This business doesn't exist without you, so thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to support Jake. Go ahead.
Jake over here. You've obviously long admired Anderson Silva, and you said yourself you were going to win this fight all week. But now that it is a reality, what are the emotions now that you've defeated one of your childhood heroes?
It's surreal. I don't think it'll hit me until like a couple weeks from now. I feel like I'm living in a movie. You know, he was the one that told me I could accomplish anything if I set my mind to it. You couldn't have written this in a story. It feels like a movie. And just being in the ring with him, seeing his heart, you know, his courage, his bravery. That's the champion that I looked up to, and he's such an inspiration. And you know, I had to go in there and match his heart tonight. A heart that I saw through the TV screen when I was a kid. So it just surreal and doesn't make any sense, to be honest.
And that punch that dropped him, you said after when you knocked out Tyron Woodley, you saw him, you're trying to catch that punch, and then you came over the top and dropped him. So when you did drop Anderson, was that an opening you knew you could take advantage of in there?
I mean, we were throwing shots all night, and that one just caught him off guard when he was coming up. So really, like, we were just throwing, and he was taking harder shots than that. That wasn't even the hardest punch of the night. It was obviously just the timing. I was just surprised by his toughness because I was dropping sparring partners all camp with those shots to the body and shots to the head. He's built different. You know, the guy's fought through broken bones and all sorts of stuff. So to beat someone like that, you got to dig deep, and that's what I did tonight.
Hey Jake, Penny Buffington from MMA Fight Coverage. I'm trying to come up with the words to express how impressed I am with you. Absolutely amazing what you have done coming from the YouTube days, and now we're on Showtime Sports. The whole entire event is because of you, Jake Paul, and I'm beyond impressed with that. I'm kind of picturing what it's like for you to choose your next opponent. It's like the Jake Paul lottery. Who's going to win next? Who gets to fight you? Are you bombarded with requests to fight? And how do you handle that? How do you go through that list of...
Yeah, look, I think this fight did two things. It'll make a much higher level people want to fight me, and it'll make the ones who are already scared, you know, like we saw earlier this year, they're not going to want to fight me. So we'll see. That, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of names. I haven't even gone on Twitter yet to look at everything and all the call-outs, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot. And it's back to the drawing board, and we'll see who it is. But, you know, Nate Diaz was here acting like a bitch. Everyone wants that fight. He tried to fight people in the hallway. You know, Nate, stop fighting people for free. Let's do it in the ring, okay? I know you're a little slow, buddy, but it's okay. We can make that fight happen. And you too, Canelo. You're getting old. You looked weird against Triple G. I still want that fight as well. And I think now, like I said it 18 months ago, I want Canelo. And then I was sitting in a room just like this, and everyone was like, oh, fucking idiot. And then now, 18 months later, here we are. And when I say that, maybe people are taking it a little bit more seriously now, and I still mean it, and I still want that fight.
Are you the one that strictly makes those decisions? Are you the one that's actually powering through those requests and choosing? Do you actually have someone in your mind that you kind of want and you go for, or do you go through those requests? And
all of the above, and it just, you know, who makes sense at the right time and who actually wants to do it and who will actually show up and be a professional and make weight. But it is who I want, you know. Even people on my team, my coaches and stuff, were like, well, are you sure you want Anderson? Are you sure? And I was like, yes, I can do this.
Okay, well, I know that Joe Riggs has been calling you out. Is he someone that you've considered?
I don't know who the fuck that is.
I was afraid you were going to say that, which I find kind of funny, because anyone who knows Anderson Sylve definitely knows who Joe Riggs is, and he's local. So, I mean, I just think that would be a perfect matchup for you, and I hope it's something that you'll consider.
Thank you.
Jacob, right over here. Jake, right over here. Congrats on the win tonight, man. You mentioned Nate Diaz, and we've seen video already of this incident. It seemed like he slapped a member of your team. It's hard to tell. Can you elaborate on what happened?
I haven't seen the video, and didn't really know what happened. I just know there was an altercation with my team.
Jake wasn't even aware of the
Yeah.
altercation before the fight.
Yeah, I was focused on what was going on, but I was made aware of it afterwards, and it's typical of him. That's what he likes to do. He's a street gangster. He likes to act tough, and he's really not. Like, why are you trying to beat someone up in a hallway, bro?
I mean, speaking of the MMA community, you and the MMA community have a very interesting relationship, over these last few years. You just beat a genuine legend of the sport, probably one of the greatest fighters of all time. Like, how do you feel like, is this the win, do you think, that will get you the respect of that community?
I think it has to. I want to watch the fight back, but, people were just saying it was a really good fight, a brawl, a war, awesome back and forth. And so I think people will respect my game. I showed different parts of my arsenal, defense, all of that, fighting on the inside with a legend who's really good at fighting on the inside. I think this fight definitely has to gain me some respect, and I'm only 2.5 years in, so this is just the start. I'm just getting warmed up with what I can accomplish, and this is the first fight in my career where I felt comfortable in the ring, right? And to just think about it, no one 5 fights in is fighting a world. My brother and I are fucking from YouTube. So I'm doing something that no one's ever done before, and I'm just learning my bearings in the ring, but we'll see what happens after this.
But I want to add, he loves the MMA community, right? He loves MMA fighters. He loves trying to be a spokesperson for the sport and bringing it along with himself. Of course, he's honest. He wears his thoughts on his sleeve, and he'll attack someone if he sees something that he doesn't agree with. But make no mistake, Jake Paul is a huge fan of MMA.
I was a fan of MMA before boxing. Yeah, and so, and guys like Ashton Sylve. So, oh, wow.
Speaking of the spider, here he comes.
My God.
Good job.
Thank you,
Jake, Keith Heidig from BoxingScene.com. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As the rounds were unfolding, particularly in the second half of the fight, how close of a fight did you feel it was, and what did you think the scorecards would read, particularly after you got the knockdown in the 8th round?
I thought it was 6 rounds to 2, which is what I think pretty much the judges had it scored as. My coaches were telling me in the corner, like, hey, you got that round, you didn't get that round. So yeah, I mean, it was tough all the way throughout, a couple close rounds, and I knew I just had to keep on working and working and working. But after I got the knockdown, yeah, and I knew that I had it in the bag.
Hey Jake, Ben Davis from MMA Island. Congrats on the win. Deji expressed how impressed he was with your skills. No interest in KSI at this time?
Man, bro, he won't fight me, especially after this fight. Like, guy needs to keep on playing FIFA and making shitty rap music. I don't really know what the guy does. He's fighting bums, trash cans. I'm trying to become a world champion. And he's just like, I don't know what the fuck that kid's doing.
Jake, right here, over here, Chris. Do you feel like this fight, I've asked you this before, but with Anderson's age and him being in the 3rd fight since he retired, I know you mentioned it in the ring, but do you feel like this is moving you closer to that boxing legitimacy? And you say you feel like a world champion. Do you think this fight moves you closer to getting to that point confidently?
For sure. When you get 8 hard rounds with a legend like Ashton Sylve, it's just really good experience under the belt, right? And he just beat a former world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He beat him 8 rounds to 0. So he schooled the former world champion. So this definitely moves me in that direction. And this guy is insanely tough. So it's just great experience under my belt. And like I said, it's only been 2.5 years. So, you know, who knows what I can accomplish. I know, but I'll show you guys.
Jake, two more for Jake, and then we'll let Anderson have the floor.
Jake right here. Andreas from Sporting News. The MMA community may love you, but do you have a message for Dana White? Because he was very critical of you taking this particular fight with Anderson Silva.
Dana? Bro, you said I wouldn't do this, and I did it, and with flying colors. But, you know, he's in hiding. You know, he's trying to do everything he can to stop my run, to sabotage my fights. He hates me. He hates me. He hates what I'm doing. He hates I'm exposing his business. And now, you know, we're going to band together and create a United Fighters Association to help UFC fighters, all MMA fighters, and boxers to get more fighter pay, long-term health care. And that's a big, big undertaking that I've been wanting to do for the whole entire time of my career since I met Nikisa. I said it to him on the first day. I want to make a fighters union. So, man, Dana White can suck this dick.
Jake, sorry, Jake, Michelle Joy Phelps with Behind the Gloves, right back here, sorry. When you first started, obviously you started fighting other YouTubers. They still seem to be looming, as in like wanting to still call you out. There have been various names that have been mentioned, even from yourself. But as you're trying to edge towards, like you said, being a world champion, is that sort of becoming further and further away from you and making those type of fights as opposed to continuing to fight other combat fighters?
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think any of the influencers will fight me or want to fight me. I've said that since, you know, a year ago, but especially now. And, you know, if someone makes sense, like a big name in the space, then maybe we can do something. But I want to fight big names. I want to fight boxers. I want to fight anyone who's going to give me a challenge where fans will be like, I don't know who's going to win this fight. Those are the fights I like to make, and that was exactly what we did here. I think the fight could have gone either way. There was ways where he could win, and there's ways where I could win.
Hey Jake, right over here. Yep. I just have to ask, because your brother was here, Logan. What did he tell you, and what are you going to tell him for his Roman Reigns WWE fight? Did you inspire each other from tonight?
Yeah, man, he gave me a speech in the locker room. I love that man so much, and he just put it all in perspective as to what we are accomplishing together. And it's so amazing to have a partner in crime. The kid's a genius. He's such a kind person. I look up to him. He makes me a better person. He inspires me every day. And I can't believe next weekend he's going to take on another massive, massive name in combat sports in the WWE Championship. It's surreal what we're building. I think we might be the new Kardashians. Hey, but who's going to... Never mind.
Jake. Jake, real quick. You have got your hat, you got your cheeks. What do you have for Anderson Silva, really quick?
I got respect for him.
Thank you, brother.
Guys, let's get a hug together.
Good job.
Jake Paul's going to leave the press room. A couple more photo ops with the Spider. Another win for Jake Paul. Say what you want, but it's another win for Jake Paul. And it's over another legend. And this one's the biggest one to date in Anderson Silva. His idol. Look at that picture right there.
It was turned.
Now you get Anderson Silva holding court to wrap it up here. Victorious Jake Paul exits stage.
Yes.
Right. And here's Anderson
I'm sorry,
Silva.
I'm from Brazil. I'm going to ask Anderson Portuguese. Anderson back here.
Cadê você?
Here, aqui.
Onde?
Direito, aqui.
Tá, tô te vendo. Fala comigo.
Anderson, primeiro de tudo, eu queria que você falasse um pouco sobre essa experiência, né? 47 anos ainda se testando no ringue. Deu para ver que você fez de tudo um pouco lá dentro hoje. Como é que você se sentiu e o que você achou assim do combate?
Assim, guys, I go speak in Portuguese first, right? It's okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, Eu acho que eu treinei muito para essa luta e todo mundo conhece o meu jeito de lutar, mas eu não sei, eu acho que eu falhei na estratégia, né? Eu até estava conversando com os meus treinadores no quarto agora, e eu não entendi. Realmente, eu mesmo tô chocado de não ter feito tudo que eu treinei durante todo o treinamento, durante todo o camp. Eu acho que falhei ali, não estava achando a distância, mas não é desculpa, né? O Jake foi bem melhor do que eu, não tem desculpa da idade, até porque eu lutei todos os rounds bem, não senti o gás em nenhum momento, e ele foi melhor, né? Estrategicamente ele foi melhor, conseguiu impor o jogo dele melhor do que o meu e venceu. So, I just try to speak in English now. So, the Jake is better than me today because I try to put in my game inside and my whole strategy, and that's I talk to my coach in the room. You know, I don't found my distance and I fail in my strategy, and Jake better than me today. That's it.
E agora, o futuro, assim, como você se vê? O que você quer fazer? Porque você é um cara que é super inquieto, a gente sabe que você vai...
não consigo parar não, filha. Não dá. I can't stop. You ask me about you stop or not, I can't stop.
Então a gente pode te ver no ringue ainda.
Com certeza. Yes, for sure.
Anderson, actually, I mean, when you look at the punch stats, you landed more power punches on him. It seemed as if, you know, from watching the fight, for some of us anyway, that you were outboxing him. Did you feel like the scorecards were favoring you as you went into that final round, honestly?
Wow, you know, I failed in the strategy, you know, in the last round, the Jake take the good punch, you know, and my base is not correct, you know, that's my coach saying, my base is not correct, and that's I take the punch. But I don't feel knockout, I don't feel power, but I'm not in good balance, and that's I take the punch. Of course, I have more experience, and I doing this a lot, and this is happening with me again, one more time, you know. The last time it happened to me when I fight with, I forgot the name, the guy in UFC. No. Yeah, Uriah Hall, yeah, Ryan. I fell 2 times in that situation, you know, and that time I just talked to my coach, I don't believe it, because I training hard for don't do the same stupid position, you know. But I'm human. I'm superhero, but sometimes my half human fail. Yeah.
And Jake talked you into joining him in this bet of, you know, trying to fight, create a UFC union, so to speak.
That's the truth.
How committed to that are you?
It's not if UFC unit. It's a unit for help and doing something better for MMA fighters, you know. And I think Jake and I can do something huge for help this new generation, you know.
Anderson.
Oi.
Aqui.
Cadê você? Eu tô
Aqui
te
do lado
vendo,
da
fala
Evelyn. Aqui.
comigo.
Tudo bom?
Tô bem.
Duas
Eu não
perguntas.
tô bem, né, cara? Eu perdi, porra. Tá, mas fala.
2 perguntas rápidas. Eu sei que você acabou de lutar e é talvez cedo para isso, mas uma revanche faz parte dos seus planos? Te interessa? Te interessaria?
Cara, eu costumo falar o seguinte, né? Quando você perde, você tem que entender que você perdeu. Você tem que ver no que você errou, tentar melhorar e não ficar achando desculpa, né, cara? O cara foi melhor do que eu, não tem nada a ver com a minha idade, não tem nada a ver com absolutamente nada de errado com a técnica, e sim com a estratégia que eu fiz. Mas eu não tenho essa coisa de, revanche e etc, entendeu? Eu acho que se tiver que acontecer, vai acontecer. Eu acho que tem que dar os méritos para ele. Ele foi melhor do que eu e a gente tem que ver o que vai acontecer. E talvez aconteça, talvez não, mas eu tô tranquilo, sabe? Eu tô bem tranquilo. A única coisa que tá me corroendo é realmente eu ter errado na estratégia que eu treinei com os meus coaches, né? Então, isso tá me consumindo um pouquinho aqui. Tipo, porra, caraca, é muito burro, cara. Como é que você faz um negócio desse de novo? Mas é isso, a gente é humano e às vezes você não é teu dia e você erra e é assim mesmo. Eu tenho muita experiência nesse esporte de combate, já perdi muitas vezes, perdi em momentos que eu não podia perder, ganhei em momentos que eram importantes eu ganhar e assim, cara, a vida que segue, vambora, vamos pra cima, pro próximo desafio.
Maravilha, ela te perguntou sobre o seu futuro. Eu queria te perguntar, o que você... Duas coisas sobre o futuro, na verdade, primeiro do Jake Paul, até onde você acha que ele pode chegar com as habilidades dele no boxe e até onde esse modelo de negócio, de celebridades lutando, youtubers lutando, até onde esse modelo de negócio pode ir?
Cara, eu acredito que é um modelo de negócio fantástico, né? Eu tenho uma visão seguinte, eu acho que o próximo passo para esse modelo de negócio do novo normal é agora os bilionários começarem a se enfrentar. Eu tenho certeza que isso vai acontecer no futuro próximo. Cara, assim, o céu é o limite, né, cara? O céu é o limite. Eu acho que muitas pessoas falaram muito dele, né, e continuam falando porque ele está incomodando todo mundo, né, cara? Então, assim, as pessoas podem falar, mas o problema de você falar muito é você não ter a coragem de fazer o que ele está fazendo, é ter a coragem de vir aqui lutar, de treinar, de perder peso e vir aqui se dedicar e fazer show para todo mundo, né, cara? Então, assim, não tem o que falar, né? As pessoas falam e tal. É lógico que quando você tem um sonho, você corre atrás do seu sonho e você vai cutucando todo mundo para você chegar no teu sonho. Uma hora você chega onde você deseja, e é o que ele está fazendo. Eu espero que ele chegue onde ele quer.
Hey Anderson, Ben Davis from MMA Island. Even with that knockdown in round number 8, were you confident you had done enough when it went to the scorecards?
Wow, you know, I just tried to follow the orders of my coach, and I talked to my coach in the room. I said, I don't believe I take knockout in the last round. That's stupid. I fell on the strategy, you know, and that's I feel, and that's I talk to my coach. I failed my mission, and I back to home training better and try to make the strategy correct in the next time, you know. That's
Marcus Hayes
Anderson,
right here.
Anderson O'Hare, back here.
Where are you?
Hello, how are you?
Okay, all right.
You spoke in Portuguese. I couldn't understand exactly everything, but when asked about a potential rematch with Jake Paul, it was a very, very competitive fight. Some people thought you were winning before the 8th round. Is a rematch something that interests you? Is that something that you'd be open for?
The rematch? That's I respond to the guy, the Brazilian guy now. I think it's very important that people respect the moment, the Jake's moment now. I'm Black Samurai, you know. I know I lost. I know I failed in my whole strategy, and my opponent win, and I need to respect that. I'm not the same the other guys fight with Jake, you know. Oh, I need revenge. I need rematch. I don't know. Let's go see what happened, you know, and maybe, I don't know.
And you mentioned inside of the ring that you're absolutely going to continue. There's no doubt about that. So what is next for you? If you can, I know we're just fresh off the fight, but if you can look in the future, what do you think is next? What things do you want to get accomplished before you?
Wow, my next challenge for myself is I go to the Jiu-Jitsu tournament in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and we'll see. I just go back home and start. I go to visit my parents in Brazil, and I go start training with my coach, Ricardo de la Riva, and I go to Dubai for continue my training with Ramon Lemos, and training to the new tournament in Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
Anderson, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Ashton Sylve, the Spider, says he's going to keep on fighting. I mean, that was a pretty competitive boxing match, right? I mean, Jake Paul looked pretty good. Ashton Sylve did control the ring, and I thought Anderson fired off a lot of shots. I mean, the one thing that you look at as a glaring, and I say this every time a fighter loses a boxing match, and they don't jab enough. The judges are working off that jab, man, and Spider only threw 13 jabs in the fight, and that's a big part of the reason why he lost to Jake Paul. And You know, I mean, it's getting to be such a common thing with Woodley twice and Henderson and Askren before that. Jake Paul beats MMA fighters. Jake Paul beats NBA players. Jake Paul beats social media influencers. Where does Jake fall in the pecking order when it comes to boxing? Where will Jake Paul take this to? How far will he go? Will he be a title contender? He said it just here. He wants to be a title contender. Betty White would kick Jake's ass. I love that. I started a trend. My son thinks I'm cool. He's 13. Thinks I'm cool because I started a trend in the chat and the numbers are big. So, hey, my son thinks I'm cool. That's all that matters. Uriah Hall's got a good attitude. He wants to fight Jake Paul. And please, these outlets that don't cover anything and don't get approved for anything somehow get approved in it. They're asking, do you want to fight Joe Riggs? Dude, no one knows who Joe Riggs is. Why does people come in from MMA and bring up the most obscure MMA fighter names? And I'm not picking on Joe Riggs. I love Joe Riggs. I like Joe Riggs. He's actually a pretty decently well-known name in the sport of MMA. But Jake Paul's like, I don't know who the F that is. Please, with your questions. It's like saying, hey, do you want to fight Chris Lieben? Who do you want to fight? I mean, anybody who's known for taking a lot of punches. I mean, come on. Jake Paul just beat Anderson Silva. You're asking him if he wants to fight Joe Riggs, and you tell him you hope he would consider it. Please go cover something else, like a Tiddlywinks competition, and save us the dreadful experience of hearing questions like that at a legitimate press conference. Anyway, that's where I'm at with that right now. And these things just kind of pop out. My dad used to tell me I think with my mouth and not with my brain. But we're going to wrap things up here. It's MMA Weekly, the largest independently owned MMA website in the world. You know what it is. You know what we got for you coming up. You know UFC 281's in a couple of weeks in New York City with Adesanya and Pereira and Zhang and Esparza and the retirement fight of Frankie Edgar. You know we'll be on live for that. And we've got a slew of sponsors with coverage all week from the Mecca in New York City. You know that in early December, we've got UFC 282 coming your way from Vegas. You know we've got a lot of stuff coming your way the rest of the year. We got interviews. We got a podcast we're launching. We got all sorts of things happening on MMA Weekly. And you know what? We got some good numbers here tonight, guys. I'm pretty pumped to have spent my Saturday night with all y'all up in here. And, yeah, we're trending at over 500K. So we're going to have a good night. All of us here at MMA Weekly, we're pumped that you're with us. We appreciate you smashing that subscribe button, the like button, the bell, so you know when we're bringing you more content. And we appreciate you continuously coming back. We had a really good run for a while there, and then there was a lull in the schedule, you know, coming up to that Hamzat and Diaz card and all that debacle there and all the big numbers we did. And, you know, then we hit Fight Island, and it's just been a crazy couple of years, but we keep on rolling with MMA Weekly, and we appreciate you rolling with us. Jake Paul with a convincing unanimous decision win over the legend, the Spider, Anderson Silva. Jake Paul remains undefeated with 4 of his wins coming over MMA champions. Remember, Askren was a champion too, Ben Askren. So he beats Anderson Silva and a good win in Arizona. Scott wants to hit the road and get back home. I want to thank all of you for being here. We got the podcast starting this week. Big things coming your way here soon on MMA Weekly. Jim Grease, call me Cageside Grease on social media, at Jim Grease _ at Cageside Grease. Check me out. MMA Weekly, of course, across all platforms with all the channels, bringing you the best in MMA. And occasionally, like Scott said, we dip our toe in the boxing pool. So for Scott Peterson and all of us at MMA Weekly, want to thank Showtime and Jake Paul, MVP, and everybody there for hooking us up and giving us the access, the interviews with the Spider and the Problem Child. And this event is in the books. For Scott and everybody else here at MMA Weekly, thanks again for being with us. Jim Greasetopper, call me Grease, and keep your game tight and your mind right. Like, follow, subscribe. We are out.